particular reason why?
Yeah, they're Asian, man. So my family is at least for me, it's kind of like split because I have like my mom's side and my dad's side, and they don't exactly commingle that often.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of an outlier because like growing up, I was like a weird kid. I just played PS2 games, and I like that was pretty much it. And I didn't speak any like languages that my family spoke.
Okay. There's a lot of unpack here. One, I don't think. I think there was definitely. I'm not gonna put you on. You don't have to expose yourself, but like, there's probably other things besides playing the PlayStation PS2 that made you weird. And then on the other side, what was the other thing that you said afterwards?
I didn't speak their language.
Yeah, what language did? Oh, like okay, you just spoke English then.
Yeah. I just spoke English,
Gotcha.
And a lot of my family are bilingual, so they'll speak English and they also speak like Laos, for example.
Gotcha. So like because that's where I was confused.
I don't speak it
because you said like I know that they speak English, and then so when you said I don't speak their language, I was like, wait, what language did you speak when you were a kid? Did you make up your own? Like,
no. So a good way to put it is that a lot of my family, at least like my cousins and uncles, they're a lot older than I am.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of them just kind of grew up speaking Laos, and they just kind of speak it like on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Whereas me being like a second generation like kid in America here, I don't speak it. So it's like whenever I go to a family get together, they're over here like all, huffing and puffing in Laos, and I'm just like, man, what the hell is going on?
Not the huffing and puffing.
And the worst part is that like my cousins and things, they speak Laos too. Like they actually took the time to learn it. So it's just me. Like I was like the only one who didn't know the language.
Do you know it now?
And no, God no. I actually I went on strike about it after that. I said, you know what? If this is what makes me different, fuck it. Okay. I'm not going to learn this language.
But do you have an example of like what it sounds like?
Not really.
Huh.
Without it being like a racial stereotype. It's not like the whole like Chinese, ching chong bing bong, like any of that shit. It's not like Japanese where it's like a really sweet sounding language. It's Laos is very visceral in a way. Like every conversation
like
kind of sounds like you're in a death match with somebody.
Like,
yeah.
Interesting.
Like you could go up to an old lady on the side of the street and seriously, like you could just say, "Hey, sweet old lady, young pretty lady, may I have some of your mangoes that you grew so vehemently in the forest last night?" And it would sound like you're cursing her to death. Like it actually is such a guttural language.
Okay. Interesting.
It's kind of a good thing too. It's kind of fun, right?
Yeah. But you like, put on that. This sounds like a perfect language for you, but like you went on.
It does. It's because do I regret it a little bit because I think it's cool when people speak like Spanglish. Where like they'll do like half Spanish, half English.
Yeah.
I think it'd be dope as hell if I could speak half English and then half Laos. Just throw in a word every now and then to seem cool.
Yeah.
I think that'd be dope. Yeah, it's like it's an aesthetic, but it's too late now. And the reason I didn't do it is one, I went on strike for it, and two, when I was a kid, my mom and dad gave me like this choice. They're like, hey, you can either learn your mom's language or you can learn your dad's language.
Wait,
because they both spoke different languages.
Oh, like dialects or still like
different languages?
Different languages completely.
Like they met in the middle with English.
Ah. So, wait, then how did they meet? Oh, they met like they knew English as a second language. Like okay, gotcha.
Like they were learning English when they got here to America, so they kind of like met in the middle somehow, which I think is cursed as hell.
Yeah, that
like two people who do not speak the same language trying to learn a brand new language and then somehow got together.
Yeah,
that's major Romeo and Juliet shit.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be language. Like in Bangla, there are dialects that are so different. Like it's still Bangla at the base, but there are certain dialects that are so off. Like, and they get the amount of like, it's not, I guess like racism, it's like classism almost. Like there's like variations of like discrimination based off of what dialect you speak. And like I know like like in school in America they teach you Spanish, but they teach you like Spain Spanish, right? Like they don't teach you like Mexican Spanish or like one of the proliferary like dialects of Spanish. But like even if you were a Spanish speaker, like if you knew the base, you could kind of like understand most of the Spanish, and it might be difficult for you to slide into this particular dialect. But in Bangla, it's like so different. I can't like partially I can't understand my grandma because she's like old, but like, and she talks really, really fast, but it's also because she has this different dialect. And then like my wife's side, they have a completely different dialect too. And I'm just like, and I can not barely speak it. Like when I'm there, like I could speak it, but and I can understand it, but the different dialects. And I'm like, how are you guys like married? Like, how did this happen? Like, you guys can't even like this, like with the way she speaks, it's like, I see that you don't understand what she's saying. Like, how do you, and then like, it's just so crazy.
They just use hand gestures.
Yeah. I mean, they, you know, common thing is like, you know, English is a second language, across the world. But, I do like what you said, like because we call it Banglish, or I call it Banglish, where it's like, you just throw in a random word. I like that across the board. Cause then it's like, that's how we got like, what, was it hors d'oeuvres or whatever, or like a lot of like
dwarves,
yeah, like a lot of French words that are just we just use. Rendezvous, right? Like a lot of like cool.
Rendezvous is a cool word.
Yeah.
I love rendezvous.
So that's like technically like Frenchish, right? Frish.
Yeah,
that's frish.
I could see that. I could see it.
Yeah. So like I feel like that's a cool evolution of language, and so, you know. This is an interesting intro. This is a very, you know, like we talked about a very off-brand kind of discussion, but hopefully the viewers can speak the 50-50 language, right? Because I think by the end, like a year comes by, we might have our own like slang. We might have our own like words that gets perpetuated. You know what I mean? Like,
we already have like flat Earth celestials coming around. So
flat Earth celestials. Yeah, I was trying to describe like some of the things that we talk about without sounding like we are just two really offensive people. But I'm like, listen, like these people deserve to get like discriminated. And then
they deserve to be minorities in our eyes.
I asked like a few of my friends, like, hey, are you a flat earther? And they're like, I'm offended you asked me. I'm like, hey, you'd be surprised. 10% of America are self-reported as flat earthers, and there's even more.
The flat Earth minorities. They don't deserve anything.
Oh God,
get them out of here.
And then I was like listing all the other things, and then like I said Greta Thunberg in there, and then like they were like, what? And then I was like, no, like I get what he means. I understand it. Like it's fine. And actually, now I think about it, the viewers don't necessarily know what we're talking about in that light, but in the past episodes we brought up, you know, a lot of different topics. So if you're new to the podcast because we started a brand new channel, definitely go check out the old episodes. Apparently we're on episode 11.
11 or 12? I think it is 12 actually.
Yeah, this might be 12 actually.
Yeah, I think it's 12.
Who knows?
Something like that.
Yeah.
We're doing a podcast, right?
Yeah,
and welcome in to the 50-50.
Yeah, welcome in. And we're not doing like we are like in the background putting down numbers, but we figured out we also are a podcast where we put our business plan right front and center. So we'll just shoot it right on the podcast. And so we said like no episode numbers, because then every episode can be an entry point for a new listener. And
yeah, we don't want to gatekeep.
Exactly. These conversations are definitely something you don't want to miss, right? I think the new episode just posted this morning, because we have the Patreon going, and that a new episode gets posted a week in advance, and then so every Monday an episode gets posted, but that episode is released earlier on, you know, Patreon. And hopefully, you know, once we are allowed to get members on YouTube, we could have YouTube members, because we know some people don't have Patreon, some people have YouTube, they like that. So one way or another,
I promise eventually we'll get the channel memberships.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. It's in the works.
And if you don't want to join the channel memberships or Patreon, first off, go after yourself. Kidding. No. we appreciate you guys just watch it, so don't ever feel pressured, right?
Yeah. This is just fun stuff. Oh, we're at 210 subs on that channel.
Par has cancer, and let me tell you, if you don't go to the channel membership, he'll never be able to pay it off, and he's just gonna die.
Oh,
and then it'll be the 050. How would you like that?
050.
I'm good. No. I do you think I'd still be doing the podcast if you weren't here? Like, I just call you from the grave, like a Ouija board.
You do. Yeah, I was gonna say you bring like instead of like bringing on guests and whatever, like in the spirit of this channel, you just bring in like a medium, and then they're just the regular guest, and they just make shit up about me, and you just have a conversation with them about.
Oh, you know how like they have seances? I'll just have like a little spoon on a table, and then I'm like, Par, what do you think about that? And I look at the spoon, and then I'm like, ah! Just like bust up laughing.
No,
that's a good one, Par.
No, the thing is, it's funny because I'm looking at the comments. X Laser Shock says, I thought this is the Mariana's Trench podcast. Someone said,
dude, we still need to bring up the Mariana's Trench, bro. Like, we haven't really touched it yet. It's so deep.
I feel like you only said that just to get that last word out, just to get that little cackle, the little giggle you had.
Yeah, you know it.
So someone said, Raul said, the self-proclaimed lobotomy boys. And then said the podcast name should just be the Lobotomy Boys. Honestly, like,
that's a good name.
In hindsight,
maybe it's too offensive though, to like lobotomize people, right?
How would they be offended?
Oh, you're right. They wouldn't know what's going on. They're just gonna be super confused.
No, but the thing is, like, when it comes to those kinds of things, like,
they're not let on the internet.
And oftentimes, people are more defensive outside of the group. You know what I mean? Like there's certain groups of people that will go to a comedy show, and then there's a joke about their group, and they're not offended, but like it's other people like, oh, we need to cancel them. Like, that's so offensive to them. And it's like, I feel like sometimes it goes overboard. Sometimes it's justified, but like, I think a lot of times it's like, if it's like 99% off, and then that 1% makes everything feel valid. Like, we could talk about like doxing right now, like the recent, have you seen like the recent Mean Girls trend on TikTok?
Do the Mean Girls just dox people? Like, what's up?
No.
And wait, like Mean Girls as in like high school bullies, or Mean Girls as in like the movie?
It's like in that it's high school bullied kind of things, where it's kind of like I think the name of the trend came from the idea that once a bully, always a bully kind of thing, where it's like these mean girls from high school grew up and continue to be mean girls. And so the trend is, it's like all these girls who are just being like kind of like catty and rude or whatever. And sometimes it's kind of like, hey, that's just like real life. And then other times it was like a valid thing, where it's like, I think the one that went super viral first, I don't know like which chicken or the egg kind of thing, but it was kind of like these girls, Italian girls in Italy, saw like an Asian family and was just like harassing them and like saying like their food is gross or whatever, and then like when they were like off their side, they were just like saying random, like they were saying ni hao, and like they were just saying like saying it in like a,
that's a good
like
one.
like a very rude accent and sound, and very loudly, obviously, and then like look over, like that kind of thing. And so the family, I think the daughter like recorded it, and was just like, this made us feel like really uncomfortable. Like my mom, like, we were in Italy and things like that.
She bursted into tears
and stuff like that, right? And so like, people called them out for the racism stuff and things like that. And then the thing was, I feel like it was fine, but then the girls the Mean Girls had a response, and it wasn't great, because they were like, if anything, we felt uncomfortable. You guys were making like this whole experience, like we were the oppressed ones. And I was like, hold on.
I mean, they're not wrong, right? Like we need more. We need to bully those Asian people, man.
I was like, damn,
they're getting a little bit too comfortable.
If they didn't say anything, I feel like it would have been less bad. But they said stuff, and then what proceeded afterwards was like, people like they were like pushed to essentially take down their social media accounts because they were getting harassed. And then I think
that's just unfortunate.
I think it got to a point where they got doxxed. And so like, I feel like doxing across the board is like, why? But like, it gets even wilder because this Mean Girl trend obviously like like what I was saying, it's like 1% of the time maybe it's valid to call people out for like, hey, these people are being racist. Cool. Like let's like, you know, make them realize that they were not in the right. The internet's a weird place because even that's weird, right? But then there was another one where this girl was like taking a video of herself like at a stadium, like so she was at a baseball thing or something like that. She had a tripod and like a camera faced towards her, and her like husband was setting it up. So she had like 5 minutes of video. She's trying to take a picture or like vlog or type of thing, and there was like girls in the back who were in the background of her thing, and so like once they realized that they were like being like in the video, being they were in the back of these pictures, they were like, you know, making goofy faces or whatever, and then there was like kind of like photo bombing, like to a excessive degree. And I say excessive not meaning like I don't think that they were like this is anything is justified, but then they were starting to say like louder things like, oh, like she's lame, blah blah blah, lame. Like they were saying like things that are audible for even the camera in the midst of like
bozo.
Yeah, like basically that in the like is in a stadium, you could hear them. And so the girl taking the video felt uncomfortable, and so she was just like, you know, she didn't get anything. So then she posted it up and put text on it. It's like, these girls, they're mean, like mean girls, like they grow up and they continue to be mean. And off of that, then people were like canceling these girls. And I'm like what? Like that's just like real life. Like what do you mean? Like people are like, they weren't doing anything like inherently wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're okay to be like that. And the thing is, she didn't like say anything to them. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people are saying like, why don't you just like say like, hey, like, can I just get like this video and then I'll turn off the camera, like make a compromise, like, you know, like be like a real person out in the real world. And the internet put us in a place where it's like this girl decided to post up like this video to get a reaction. And those girls, first of all, they put an apology video and they got canceled for their apology video where they were like, essentially like, I didn't realize we needed to apologize, which obviously on the scope of the internet, when you say that in an apology video, it's kind of bad. But like in reality, it's like, no, I don't think they really needed to apologize. Like, and what ended up happening was people found out like the girls' boyfriends canceled them, found out their families, doxed those families, their workplace. Like,
and they went hard.
Yeah, like bombed, review bombed them. Like they had like a real estate company, like the boyfriend had a real estate company, and then that got like 1-star review.
Oh
bomb.
no.
Yeah, and it's like, for what? And then like, you know, people are calling out the girl, like the initial girl who posted up the video saying like, blah blah blah, like, you know what you're doing, like this was so disingenuous, because she had like a video, she's like, thank you guys for the support, I'm so glad. And this was after the girls got doxxed, by the way. She's like, thank you for the support, I'm so happy you guys were on my side. And then she's like you know, mean girls just grow up and continue to be mean girls, and you got to stand up for yourself. She didn't stand up for herself. And then she was like, you know, but I don't condone any of the doxing and like the bullying and cyberbullying, because what they were doing to me, you guys are just doing to them. I'm like, what do you mean? And like, and here, Sai, let me tell you something. At this point, do you think like she posted up because she just like wanted to be validated by like, you know, random people on the internet, like, oh, like, you know, I'm so sorry I experienced that. Like,
oh, 1,000,000%. I mean, that's
to
usually
me.
what it is, right? People want to just get the views and shit.
But did you think that she thought it'd go viral?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like it just off like. Okay, let me
like off rip. I always feel like they go into it knowing that they're gonna go viral.
Okay. See, and that's what makes a lot of the stuff disingenuous. I'm gonna give you a fact. She had 50,000 followers on TikTok already.
Oh damn.
Yeah. So that she's like, hey, not to. I'm not putting myself, not power scaling here. The space is very different. You know, but for anime,
not trying to power scale, but she sucks.
No, I mean, I have 20K on TikTok, right? And even then, it's like if I just posted something up, and it's perpetuating through other videos and channels, and that's like a very niche, you know, community, right? Like 50K in you know, it's not nothing to scoff at. That's a sizable number. It can make an impact. So there's that, right? Now it's like, yeah, she knew what she's doing. Like, come on, you don't post that kind of thing unless you get this kind of response. And here's the second thing, Sai. A week later, how many followers does she have?
So this went viral. She started with 50K.
Everything went its course. Like she went viral. People were on her side. People doxed her. She actually had like a meeting with those people. She said a mediated meeting with the other party to get to on the same page. I'm like, damn, they brought lawyers.
That's a little bit wild.
With a week. Yeah, this is a crazy thing. And then
I don't know if I do that.
And then the girls posted an apology, and she posted like her like response apology thing. So all that happened. How many followers she got?
1 million.
Given the scope of what we were talking about, reasonable. She gained 500,000 within a week, which is like,
that is solid. That's like a career right there.
Yeah.
But then again, like, what is she gonna do from now on? Like, is she just gonna keep on making that kind of content? Like, is she gonna have to start farming like and creating fake drama? Like what's the goal now?
Yeah, because I'm gonna, like, if this ever goes, because hey guys, this is a niche group. Someone might clip this 5 years down the line and cancel me for having this take. This girl might see it and decide, maybe I end up on a reel on her thing. She's like, oh my god, he's bullying me. Fine, what, right? But
then we dox her.
No. But like I'm gonna say, like, from what I saw of her, how she presents herself, it's not necessarily like a, because we watch a lot of streamers, like, I have like I've analyzed a lot of content creators for my own purposes, but for other business purposes, for a lot of different reasons. And I can tell when someone's like a content creator, or just someone who they're doing a passion thing and their content creation's on the side because of the business stuff. Like, in terms of like a vlog standpoint, that like none of how she like presented herself made me want to watch more of that.
What? No way.
From what I saw. And I'm like, I don't know what niche this is. Honestly, I'll come out and say there's a lot of Gen Z content creators that go crazy. Like, they blow up within months, and then they keep that and they get brand deals, whatever. And like the way they present themselves, I'm like, I can't grasp this kind of thing. I've asked other like younger content creators to explain, like, this kind of like thing, or like people who are more knowledgeable, and it's like, it's so wild how different we are in terms of like how.
But here's the thing, like, somebody like that went viral and they have 500K views, they're not going to retain it though. Like there's no way those numbers are going to be consistent. People just want the immediate drama.
Yeah.
Which they will probably stay there for a week, maybe a month at max. And then after that, they'll find the next big thing.
Yeah.
And people just forget that they're following them. And then that's pretty much it.
Especially on TikTok.
Yeah.
Because it's like, there's so many people with like 100K plus that's why, like, 100K on YouTube.
Or like fetal alcohol syndrome.
What?
Oh, my bad.
Like, there's so many people with fetal alcohol syndrome, and they just don't know
TikTok, bro. They don't even know it, man.
I mean, both are true. Wait, are you talking about that? Because there was a I wouldn't say it's a trend, but like there was because it'd be wild if this is a trend. Like, there's like people who are
the fetal alcohol syndrome trend. It's trending right now, guys.
People will diagnose people with that. Like, they'll call them out, like, "Yo, you look like you got."
Yeah, no, that's where I got it from, because I saw memes of people talking about it. I was like, that's hilarious.
And then like the girl like goes in and she like looks at the symptoms and she puts like a side by side, and it's like and then they call their parents or something. Like, that's one TikTok. And then like that's why I say it's like sort of a trend, because like I've seen multiple ones of this where like the people get commented like very rudely, like, "Yo, you look busted," and then and then they do the symptoms thing, and then they call their mom and it's like, "Oh, what was I not supposed to?" And they're like, "Mom," you know what I mean? Like, it's like because back in the day they didn't necessarily, they
didn't know that much.
Yeah, and it's like, it's a little interesting now because apparently, well, not apparently, this is not medical advice. Don't perpetuate this. I didn't fact check it. And nor did we test this because it was kind of like we don't drink anyways. But my wife was saying like, technically it's,
we don't drink.
Technically, my wife was like, because when she was breastfeeding, it was like, I was like, oh, like you can't do this, and that. She's like, oh, actually, I could drink alcohol. I was like, you don't even drink alcohol. Why are you like? And then she's like,
how are you advocating this?
Yeah, and she's like, well, so like, obviously in moderation, but like the whole filtration system of how the body works is like, if only a percentage of it goes into your bloodstream, and then not like your like lactation system's completely separate, the alcohol doesn't even like make it in there. And so like they were saying it's like it'd be like the same thing as like apple juice, because apple juice has like a little bit of alcohol content in there too. So it's like that amount gets in there, so it's not like a worrisome amount. I'm like, you're kind of basing off of like some people just drink alcohol like it's water though. Like I'm pretty sure that's not fine for breast. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, I mean, we're not testing this, right? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, all right, cool. So like,
cool, good talk.
Yeah, that was kind of like, I was like thanks for sharing. Like thanks for worrying me for a second, because we're not even gonna do like worry about this, right? Like
it's one of those things where it's like, do you even want to risk it though? Like, yeah, you can drink alcohol and there's a high chance that everything will turn out fine.
Yeah.
But do you really want to risk it?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like people I mean, the way alcohol works is like have you watched an anime called Cells at Work?
Yeah, I've watched Cells at Work.
Yeah, it's actually pretty, like because back in the day I watched Osmosis Jones. You watched that too?
Yeah, no, I watched Osmosis Jones. It had Bill Murray in it, right?
I don't know who. Bro, what? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna out myself. To this day, like, I have this issue where.
Yeah, he was in Osmosis Jones. I just looked it up.
Okay. I have this thing where like when I get introduced to somebody and they tell me they're like what to call them, that's just their name. You know what I mean? Like.
Wait, how does this refer back to Bill Murray and you not knowing who he is?
So like when I watch movies, like if Adam Sandler's name is something else, Adam Sandler's different because like obviously if you watch like 19 of his movies, it's like, and his name changes and he's like, Adam Sandler, he's a personality. But then some people bring up actors in movies and like I get it, like they're iconic, but like I knew them from the movie, so like their name in that movie is what they are to me, and I don't do the extra. I've never did that when I was younger.
No, okay, I see what you're talking about. No, I'm the same way.
Like and there's so many people, and I get why this is important. I get why it's important, but when it came to like anime and like cartoons, and people knew like the people behind it, I was like, you mean SpongeBob? Like
no, I'm exactly the same. Like they really have to transcend through a lot of media for you to actually like know their name. Like Bill Murray, at least for me, I've watched a lot of his movies, so I know him.
Yeah,
some sense. Marvel heroes, I know like maybe a quarter of them. But I understand what you mean, right? Yeah. Like it's not like we watch an anime and you're like, oh my god, it's Tsukihiro and he used to play these other people. And do you remember he got married back in 5th grade? Like that was crazy.
Yeah, like
we're not gonna know the whole life story.
There's like maybe 2 or 3 voice actors because they transcended, but then like the ones just below that, I'm like, oh, is that oh man, I'm trying to think of the specific one.
You can't even think of an example.
Man, I'm trying to, the one for, was it Chopper's voice? No, not Chopper's voice. There's someone who's like in all of these different things recently that I was just like, oh, like man.
Japanese or English?
Japanese. They're like,
oh, I'm not gonna know.
Yeah, there was one.
All I know about Japanese voice actors is that they're all old ladies.
Most of them, yeah. Man. Oh. Here's a fun one. I don't know the name, but because forever this guy will just be Zoro. But Zoro's Japanese voice actor is Bruno in Encanto. In the Japanese version. So yeah. So if you guys
such a random fact.
Yeah. So Encanto, the way I found out was just like, oh my god, wait, why is Zoro here? Like it was literally like Zoro got lost in the thing. So if you guys don't know One Piece, you're lost, but we cover One Piece content as we moonlight as One Piece content creators. Primarily, we're 50/50 podcast hosts, but
yes, this is the passion right here.
Yeah, this is the passion. And so going back to Encanto, a Disney movie, very very good movie in my opinion. Very, very good life lessons about generational trauma. Go check it out. If it's not your favorite thing, I think it has a sister focus. But besides the point, there's a brother.
Wait, a hot sister or a stepsister?
It's all sisters. Yes, there's hot sisters, strong sisters, weak sisters, anxiety sisters, all sisters, right? And
there's a reason why God did not give me any siblings.
Oh no, that's a whole different package. Apparently you couldn't even communicate with your cousins, but that's a separate discussion. But
hey, we communicated in more ways than one.
I don't need to know.
Physical touch.
Stop. See, that's why I said I don't need to know. I knew that's what you were gonna say. And so Bruno is this character who has future sight. Like, he could, spoilers, like, the movie's been out, but it doesn't really hurt the thing. And so he gets like ostracized, and so he's like this ghostly character kind of thing. Like, it's in the trailers too. And so they sing, like, it's a Disney thing, so they all sing, and the soundtracks are so good. I like them so much that I was like, yo, let me listen on repeat. And so, like, on YouTube, it autoplayed into other languages, and so, like, you know, like when you're like doing work and then just music is playing and you kind of aren't paying attention, and then you like tune back in, you're like, what? Why am I listening to German music? You know what I mean? And then I was like, what happened? I was like, wait, why do I know this song? And then I found out that they translated the songs all into like all the languages, and they made like a medley of all the songs or all the languages into one song, and it was dope. And then they got to the Japanese one, and then I heard Zorro, and I was like, no way, this is just a guy who sounds like Zorro, right? Like, and then it's the same dude.
You're telling me this voice actor has more than one role?
But he's singing, like, it's Zorro's voice singing. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the same deep voice. Like think Zorro in One Piece breaking out into music. That's what happened there. And he's like trying to sound good. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a deep, manly, like, oh, I'm gonna kill you, like that kind of a voice. And it sounded all right.
I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of dope. And I don't know the name of the voice actor, but like, that was kind of cool. But that's an example. Like, that guy will forever be Zorro to me.
A lot of like Japanese voice actors, they all have at least one rom-com anime under their belt.
Do they?
So the next time, oh yeah, for sure.
Does Luffy?
I promise you, maybe not Luffy, because that's an old lady, but
which would make sense to put into the rom-com. But
hey, old ladies aren't getting their cobweb swat at anytime soon. They have no business there.
Well, I don't. There's okay, sure.
Which I think this perfectly segues actually to our next topic.
Oh, good. I was gonna change the topic title. All right, hit me. With it.
I actually have 3 topics, and they're all kind of nice. So recently, speaking of like Bruno and Kanto, I actually watched a quote unquote kids movie the other day.
Okay.
And it was pretty damn solid. It was Puss in Boots. Have you watched it?
No, I want to. I heard so.
I can't talk about it then. It's so good. It's so sweet.
And it's apparently really deep too. It's apparently
yeah.
Like it's
a deep movie.
Not that, like, you know, normally, like, spoilers don't bother me like that. I want to watch. I'm saving it so that me and my wife can share the experience together, right? Because she wouldn't want to be spoiled about it in the same way that I'm okay with being spoiled. But I saw like a creator talking, like interviewing the director about like a theory, and the director like confirmed the theory, but apparently it wasn't like so much as a theory, but like it was kind of like this entity showed up earlier on in the movie in the background, and you just didn't notice, but he was there the entire time, and so you had keen eyes. I'm like, I love those kinds of things where it's like, if you really paid attention to everything in there, like the motive, the MO of this character would be like more understood, right?
No, yeah, it's so good. So I'm not gonna spoil it, but you know, it's deep in a sense where like it has more meaning than other kid movies.
Yeah.
Like you could walk away with this one and be like, wow, that was a nice message. Like if I had a kid, I'd be like, hey, let's go watch Puss in Boots. Like, this is, you should watch this movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty solid.
No,
it's so good.
I think like I'm going on a limb here, and Kanto to me is like that. I'm going off on a limb and saying that Puss in Boots is probably more appealing to me, because like Encanto's all about sisterhood and stuff like that, which I was fine with, because it's like, you know, deal with a lot of sisters in my life because my wife and all of her friends
and Sister
and stuff
Teresa,
like that.
and waxing her up on a Sunday.
and I think another one on that tier would be Coco.
Coco's a good one too.
Yeah, Coco to me,
I just hate the music.
Yeah, and that's fair. I think that's something that like people need to take a grain of salt with any musical. It's like the music doesn't necessarily make the movie bad. It just might be not your flavor of music, right? But when it comes to those things, then I'm like, what is the message of the song, right? Was the song like meaningful for the movie and the plot and the characters? Lyrics make sense, and I feel like across the board, yeah, like these movies probably like Puss in Boots probably doesn't have. Wait, does Puss in Boots have musical element to it?
They have one song in the beginning.
Yeah,
but,
it's not Disney, right?
When I heard that song, I was like, oh god, like is this a musical? But after that, they don't throw in the song. They throw it in one more time. DreamWorks. But it has like a different meaning.
Yeah, they're DreamWorks, not Disney. But yeah, Coco was one of those movies I came out of, and it wasn't necessarily for me, but I was like, yo, this movie is like a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. It had like it was like a really good on every single like different test, like whether it's music, plot, character development, like antagonist, like it was really, really good, and it had that deeper meaning as well. So Puss in Boots, man, now that you said that you like it, I need to make time to go watch it.
It's good. It's on Vudu. I rented it for $5.
What the hell is Vudu?
You don't know what Vudu is?
Like is it VUDU?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know what it is then. I know.
Yeah, I like Vudu. It's just like easy. Like I don't want to go and get dolled up, go to a movie theater, spend like $20 on a ticket, then spend like $10 on popcorn. I'd rather just spend $5 and just watch it from home.
There's some movies,
or bootleg it.
There's some movies,
but I would not recommend that. I would not recommend bootlegging.
Sternly looking into the camera.
Yes. Hey, don't do this. But I know there's an option of bootlegging out there.
Which is another interesting topic we could touch back on later, actually, or we could talk about now. But I feel like there's some movies, I agree with you. It's like I don't necessarily care to watch in the theater. I think right now Marvel's like that for me, where it's like I had a especially now, but Marvel is actually the reason why most of my friends and people around me, even if they weren't like my close friends, told me to be a content creator for like fictional analysis, that kind of thing, because of Marvel. Because when the Marvel movies came out, I convinced a lot of people to try it.
You were a theorist,
and no, I was, and then but it wasn't like necessarily because like there's comics, right? I wasn't like so far into the comics realms where like people are like, oh, this is this world and XYZ has to happen, especially because the Marvel Cinematic Universe went their own way with a lot of things. And so I sat there and I predicted a lot of what happened in the movies. Movies give you a lot more like overhead time, whichever, like advance, like a movie comes out and then you have like a year before another movie comes out. You have a lot of time to theorize. But I didn't think about movies like that. I would just sit down with the movie and come out of the theater, and then like there would like all of our friends would be just staying out in the parking lot. We'd be talking for literally hours about like different things at like midnight, So then like, man, you should just post this. I'm like, yeah, I'm too lazy. There's like, and at the time I was like doing stocks and other stuff, so it's like, I'm
just join new rock stars.
This is just fun, you know what I mean? And I remember when Phase 4 was starting and Phase 3 was like ending, I told all my friends, I was like, this is the reason to drop Marvel. If they fail on XYZ, then just drop it and then come back to it. Like if like you hear like good things about it, right?
Yeah.
And all three of those things happened. Verbatim happened. And then like people are messaging me like, but I still want to go. I'm like, hey, your loss, they're charging you an arm and a leg now for those tickets. I ain't go. Like, and the other thing is like, if you want to go, some movies I would want to, like Spider-Man, I think I wanted to, Doctor Strange, March of Madness, whatever. That was the movie. I said if they scuff that one up, don't, I'm not buying another ticket. And so they scuffed it.
We're not endorsing this.
Yeah. So I watched it, went with friends, and I'm like, listen, you could go to the next movies. I don't care anymore. I'll come back later.
Going.
And those are movies I'll like I'll just rent or do, in the spirit of Luffy, do other things. But and Puss in Boots is the reason why we haven't watched it, because I wanted to, is because we want to watch it with our son. And it's like, he's so close to being like cognizant of like what's happening on the screen for a longer period of time. And like, if we just wait like a few more months, Puss in Boots might be his jam. Obviously he's not going to retain all of it. We're going to need to rewatch it 100 times.
He's going to be so lost in the future. Like, I watched that movie?
Yeah.
What?
I mean, but the thing is, like, when you're a kid, you like rewatch movies like 1,000 times, right? Like,
yeah.
And you're just like, yeah, I did that. You know what I mean? Like, you never question like how much lifespan you wasted on this movie, but then you're a kid. You just do things, right?
Yeah, you just exist.
Yeah.
Which, hey, existing brings me to my next topic, actually. Another amazing segue.
Okay.
So
I
speaking of existing,
but I'll save it to the end.
There is somebody who's on the verge of not existing, and that's due to his old age.
Morgan Freeman.
Joe Biden.
Oh, damn it.
So, did you know that Joe Biden had cranial aneurysms?
Yes.
And that might be one of the leading factors as to why he's so incoherent nowadays? I didn't know that.
There's a plethora of factors involved in that, and that one, honestly, like, I think about it like,
do you think about Joe Biden often?
Like, the politicians, they have access to the best of the best, so like,
yeah,
when it comes to like, obviously brain surgery comes with its risks, but a lot of those risks get like skewed once you start using the best doctors. And it obviously for neurology and neurosurgeons, it's still a risk there. I feel like it's hard. I think I remember that was like early 2000s or that was like early 2000s probably. And since then, it would be difficult to say like, oh, that was the reason, right? Like, sure, that might be involved, but like there's like 1,000 different other reasons, especially at his age, given the era he was born in, to give the same explanations rather than to tie it into that. And to a certain extent, I would almost say like, yo, honestly, maybe that's a reason why he lasted as long as he did, because they cleared up like an issue that some people just kind of like live with, and it's like subclinical. Like, so it's like an issue that they have in their brain, but it's not clinically necessary. It's not something that they notice, as are a lot of mental related diseases related to the brain and things that create mental illnesses, right? Like, most people are like, oh no, that's just me. You know what I mean? You're so opposed to accepting that maybe there's something wrong, so you don't get a brain scan, whatever, especially with the boomer era. But like, that's on one side.
That's my mentality.
And so like, if you have this dude who got something diagnosed and it got cleared up by like, and the neurosurgeons open up, and generally I feel like they look at like, when they open up the brain, pretty sure they look at like, hey, since we're opening it up, is there anything like related to the thing that we need to do right now to also address, right? Like they're not gonna open you up and then be like, oh, you know what, you also had this other issue on the other side of your brain, but like, we'll just casually crack open your skull again somewhere down the line. No, like, I'm pretty sure they would address it. So like, if anything, it's like, it's kind of like, I'm romanticizing it a little bit, but like, that honestly, like, he kind of had a car tune-up, you know what I mean? Like, whereas his peers, they might have subclinical problems that made them less coherent now. And again, what I'm saying is like, there's probably a lot of things wrong with Joe Biden besides that brain surgery. But I understand why the general population is going to look at that as they do with a lot of like medical problems and try to denounce it from that standpoint. I get it.
I'm just trying to make it seem more reasonable. Like, Joe Biden, yeah, he's old, but let me tell you, man, Joe Biden has something that old age couldn't even do to you.
Yeah. I forget. I saw like a clip of it, but I didn't necessarily look into the cause, or if they said what the cause was, which maybe they didn't, but back in the day maybe they did, like, oh, like it's from this, but maybe they weren't being honest. But that honestly could be more important as to, hey, if he didn't fix whatever caused that initial aneurysm situation, then that could cause further issues down the line, right? Like,
watch it have cured him. Actually, the cure was doing nothing all along.
Hey, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. All you can say is we're here now, you know? We're here now. Yeah. And the thing is, we can't necessarily say that about Joe Biden, because is he here now? Like,
he doesn't even know, really. He's just being towed along. He's being paraded like the king of the North. His dead body's just being thrown on a wolf, and they're just, piling him around. That's all it is.
It's weird because sometimes, like, we had the recent North Korea. Oh, we're gonna get demonetized forever.
Yeah, speaking of Joe Biden, North Korea, right?
So, like, North Korea, I sent this to you. Like, North Korea apparently was like saying that they would, like, they're preparing to be able to nuke us or whatever, or like they're getting to a point where that's completely fine. And I don't know what that meant for like a global relation standpoint, whether that means that they're aligning with other superpowers, whether it be Russia and China, or the OPEC or whatever, or BRICS or whatever. But then apparently Joe Biden said, like, we will end you. That was like what he said. And I'm
the least threatening person to say that.
And I'm like, wait, that's kind of scary. Like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like in the past, it's like, we will retaliate with equal force. We will make, like, like, that's not possible. Like, that's kind of the verbiage, right? And like, yeah, I get it with like a country like North Korea to be less
friendly, less
courteous, right? Like, you don't have to necessarily, like, you should, like, like, you don't get into a fight with like a homeless dude in the middle of New York City, right? Like, you just don't, right? Like, it's like this kind of, you recognize their situation and you're like, moving along, you know what I mean? And it's like, you see that in North Korea, and you it's not that you don't watch it, right? Like, you don't take your eyes off the homeless dude, and it's like, hey, if they pull out a knife and you're about to get mugged, it's not like, oh, this is just homeless, right? Like, that's same light with the North Korea thing. It's like, you watch them, and if they start being aggressive, it's like you prepare accordingly, but you don't have to go as far as be like, we will end you. I was like, whoa. And that was Joe Biden. I
like that.
And it was very like succinct. I was like, damn, that is crazy. And then I think right afterwards, you sent me the clip of what I forget what he exactly said, but he adopted a new persona, right?
Yeah, he became Dark Brandon for a little bit.
Dark Brandon.
Yeah, that was a good meme for a minute, where like people were like, oh, whenever Joe Biden is coherent, he's actually just turning into Dark Brandon.
Is that what, like, but why did he do that? Is that why he did that? Because
Joe Biden, they wanted to show that he's not as lobotomized as people think he is, and that he actually knows what the internet is.
Hey, we don't, because we are the lobotomy boys. Just want to clarify, nothing against lobotomized people. Nothing against you.
Before this whole thing, people were wondering if Joe Biden even had access to the internet or knew what it was. Because there were rumors that he still used like dial-up phones and like tin cans connected by string to talk to people. But to show that he actually knew what social media was, they had him go on air like at like, I think it was like a White House dinner, and he put on shades and he called himself Dark Brandon. It was something so goofy too. He was like, hey, like, I'm cool with you guys sitting here and having a great dinner, but I don't know if that'd be fine with Dark Brandon. And then he puts on the shades, and then that's it.
Oh no!
And then like all of the people in the White House started cheering him on, like, "Woo, Dark Brandon!" It was kind of funny. It was wholesome.
Yeah,
but I still don't like Joe Biden.
I mean, that's like a fun thing. It's fun, but it's also thing. Like around something that's kind of like, yo,
it's almost like a derogatory meme in a way, because it was born from people making fun of Joe Biden's incompetence and incompetence.
Yeah,
saying like, hey, like maybe he just has a different persona altogether, and then he kind of like he doesn't like confirm it, right? But like he pokes fun at it, so it's like I don't know what's the right choice, but there's no negatives here, I guess.
Have you seen the conspiracy theories around, like, I mean, this is like a widespread thing, but like there's
theories?
like this growing trend of people being clone replacements, like Joe Biden was cloned and replaced, and that's why he doesn't look the same as when he, like that clip of when he had the cranial surgery. I remember seeing like the interviews or whatever, and people were like, that doesn't even look like Joe Biden, right? And do you not that do you believe it, but like
I don't believe in the clone theories, but I do see what they mean, where they're like, hey, like Joe Biden looks so different, and I'm like, yeah, old age can do that to you, stress can do that to you, not being on the same diet could do that to you. Like, there's so many things with that. Yeah. And if Joe Biden were cloned, and that this is his clone we're living with right now, what did they make him out of, bro? Like Vienna sausages in a lab? Like, how'd they cook this boy up?
That is,
like you're telling me this is how he came out?
I love when conspiracy ends with like a dumber reality than we live in right now. It's like the tracking vaccines, right? It's like, wait, hold on.
I wish we had that technology. Shit.
Yeah, like
why would they tell you too? Like, do you think anybody ever thought about that? Like, why would we do like a global crisis like COVID to add tracking chips to your body when we could just add it to the flu shot?
Yeah,
and not tell anybody.
Yeah, like what was the point of doing that? And then also it's like, wouldn't it be easier to just do that in our phones? Like they import all of them and they do a screening. Like they could just do it that way, right? Like there's so many different, like why not the app that you're supposed to put the vaccine stuff on? Why not that app or like they have your social security number? Why not like have you inhale your whatever? Like if you could get vaccinated with a tracking chip, I'm sure they could just put it in like the air at that point. You know what I mean? Like
the water supply.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And it's like, it's so funny that there's so many different conspiracy theories where it's like, okay, I'll give it to you. But do you understand what you're saying by the end of it? Yeah. Because with the Joe Biden one, you're kind of saying like the cloning technology is a failure, right? Like that's what we have to take from that, right? And they're like, what do you say from that? It's like, yeah, well, that's the point. They want us to melt our brains. Like, okay, all right. Like, what is the agenda here by having this president that like bipartisanly gets denounced for like room temperature IQ, right? Like, what is the agenda there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, who's winning? Who's winning in this scenario?
Because the thing is like that cloning stuff. They're saying that like the Democrats push it, and it's like, why would they do that for their own candidate? Like, what? Hello? Like, and then
I have an idea. Instead of having a competent leader that could be any one of us, let's actually just, hire a lobotomized zombie. And a clone we cooked up last Tuesday.
One of the stronger ones for Joe Biden, I say stronger with an asterisk, because people go to like, they hear all this stuff and they go to his ears and they're like, but his, like, so for those of you guys don't know, there's like a evolutionary thing where it's like, if I have a detached earlobe, but I think it's like the beforehand, everyone had attached earlobes. And so like in 2000, Joe Biden had detached earlobes, and now they're attached, and people are like, see, he's not the same person. They messed it up. It's like, how would that be? If they cloned him, that would be the same thing. What do you mean? That's it
would be 1-to-1.
And so then like at that time, a lot of plastic surgeons came out. I was like, no, that's how you do facelifts. Like you get you tie it to the ear, and so the ear gets attached. Now you take the loose skin here, you cut it off, and then attach it and raise it up to the ear, and that's what Joe Biden came out and said he had a facelift before like his election, essentially the run before the thing, because he wanted to look the part.
He wanted to look cool.
Yeah. And so it's so funny. But here's a small spin-off of that. There, similarly with Donald Trump, people had a theory that Melania had doubles or like stand-ins. Like she dislike Donald Trump so much that they hired people to stand in. It wasn't necessarily clones. But did you hear about that conspiracy, and what about the validity?
What kind of conspiracy theory is that? So that's so goofy.
No, but this one was a good one. I like this one because it like people were like, yo, like if you look at like the noses and stuff like that, and then the timeline of where Melania was, and you can see her full face versus when she was with Trump, like they hid like the face or whatever, and it's like this is a double, right? Like she and then like the way she was acting, she wouldn't hold his hand or something like that, and it's like, oh, every time he doesn't do that, it's because he's a double. And I'm like, or they just got into like a fight, like that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it could just be a fight,
or they're just old. Like
I respect that theory.
Yeah.
Mainly because it makes sense if like a president had a double, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like that makes sense. So in that regards, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll give it something. But as far as like, oh, she doesn't like him, so she got a double behind his back, and it's like, no, that's a little bit goofy. But I could see where they're coming from. And I could see the origins.
That's super plausible because like stunt doubles like sometimes are just like clones. Like I've seen a few where I'm just like, wait a second. Wait a second.
Yeah.
Like this is just your brother, right? I think Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has one that's just like him. And I'm just like, no, this is just your little brother or something.
It's like a little less or like buff version of him, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. It's like slightly like less. It's probably like not on steroids or something like that because he has to be like functional or whatever. And so a secondary question is, if you were rich and famous or powerful, would you do that? Would you hire like a stunt double?
Oh, 1,000,000%, yeah.
Yeah, I'm so surprised more people don't do that.
Like let's say I wanted to test out the streets of LA and see how safe they were for me. Like if I was like some weird celebrity, right? Mm-hmm. I'd send my stunt double first to go check it out. Oh. It's like how that one guy got beat up by I don't know the guy, but like a Logan Paul lookalike got beat up in LA.
The lanky one?
Have you heard about that?
The lanky dude? I know who you're talking about, but like there's because like, hey guys, Logan Paul, white dude from Ohio, right? Like there's a dime a dozen.
Jake Paul.
There's a Jake Paul lookalike? That's funny. That is funny.
Was it Jake Paul and like a Jake Paul lookalike, and then Nate Diaz like beat him up on the street? It was something odd.
I know there was a story where like Jake Paul was coming from like a fight or whatever, and then he like 30 dudes were after him, and then he like ran.
Yeah, and then he ran away. Okay, wait, I got the story here. Yeah. Nate Diaz knocks out a Logan Paul lookalike during street fight.
What was the Logan Paul lookalike, like super lanky?
No. Well, a little bit.
Because there's this one dude who literally just looks like Logan Paul, but like the bad timeline version of him. Just like I forgot what people saw. Or not people saw, people said about him. But he looked exactly like him. And the
guy's name is Rodney Peterson.
Yeah, that's him. I'm pretty sure that's him.
Oh, it is? Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's him. Rodney Peterson. And that's what I'm going to say. Like, some of these people, they're kind of more... Yeah, that's him. They're more generic than you'd think, looking.
His epithet is not Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Rodney, not Logan Paul Peterson.
That's kind of funny. He went viral on TikTok because people genuinely thought that he was just like... Because he was like Logan Paul, but like after crypto, like the crypto hack like scandals and stuff. And so like Logan Paul just like was broke or something like that. Like just various memes around that. And then people were like, I need to see them in the same room. And then they got into the same room. And it was kind of scary. That's another thing. Like, have you ever seen like a doppelganger?
No. I haven't seen anybody that necessarily looks like me. Which I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse. But I'm sure if you go to like Asia, you'll find like 50 different versions of me. But here in America, probably not. Yeah,
it's interesting because there's a lot of people who say their cousin or their friend looks a lot like me, and then we like meet up, and we like it's very different. But I get the idea, like we have the same aura or the similar aura or something like that.
Yeah,
and get a vibe, vibe check. But yeah, I'm like, it's like, damn, one day that doppelganger could be very useful, like become rich and famous, and then just because you look alike, they could be millionaires too, Yeah,
it's a blessed existence. You just look a certain way. Wait, speaking of which, have you heard about Oh, fuck, I'm trying to think of it now. There was this lady that hired somebody that looked like her. And what she did was they actually murdered her so she could fake her own death. Have you heard about that?
I mean, I've heard of that concept in fiction, but I don't know necessarily if that was in a news story.
They tried to
recently?
do that in real life.
Like recently?
Yeah. It was
Damn.
like less than a year ago, I promise you. Which I don't have the article in front of me because it's just something I just remembered and reading about and watching a video about too.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, they actually caught her though because they did like DNA and forensics and they're like, wait, this actually isn't her. It's just somebody that looks like her. And this was done in a different country, so it's not like America.
She killed the person.
Yeah. She and like I think her boyfriend killed this person so they could run away from their family because they got into an argument with their mother. It was just something so ludicrous. Like, she wanted to not be with their family anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because her parents were annoying her or something really minimal. So she said, oh, let me just hire a body double, kill the body double, and then leave. When I'm just like, you're an adult. You could just leave if you wanted to. Like, you didn't have to kill somebody.
Yeah, okay. I can gather a few suspect countries that probably this would exist. Not going to name names, but hey, like, the thing is, like, I've seen very stupid crimes in America where honestly that's smarter. Where have you seen the various videos of people, the women primarily, hiring hitmen?
Yes,
And then
I have seen those.
And then they're just cops, and then they're like, oh,
wait 1 second. Somebody's knocking on my door.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, we're back. Okay, sorry, 2 second delay.
You're
Whenever
good.
I hear somebody knock on my front door, I'm like, okay, it's either an inspector, it's police, or it's a home invader. So like, I got ready all of a sudden. I was like, okay, I gotta go real quick.
Yeah. What?
It was Amazon, so it was nothing that bad.
Oh my goodness. Well, this probably cut out, but that's a whole separate conversation. Because actually,
We can leave that in. To be honest, that was like 2 seconds.
2 seconds. All right.
Yeah, it's all good.
Damn,
good.
I should have just stopped. I was just staring into the camera menacingly, just like
You're like, oh god, Sai's gonna die.
yeah. Because I figured, I was like, based off of how you reacted, I was like, huh, interesting. Which that does segue into another thing, because it's like, you know, the people, the ladies who are hiring hitmen, not the brightest, not the shining examples of people in society. They just like, and the craziest part was like, the cop had everything recorded, and then like when it came down to the like the day when the hitman was supposed to happen, they go through the plan and they catch like because they have to catch them being like guilty of like
Paying for it, right?
Because like yeah, exactly, because like if there's no crime, they are soliciting, like, it's a lesser charge, I think, right? But like if the hitman does it and then the payment goes through and they are now like accomplice, they solicited this, that's like a heavier charge, I'm pretty sure. So they have to like go through it, and then when the cop goes like, I'm a cop, by the way, they're like, I know what you're talking about, that wasn't me. Like, they just like complete denial. I'm like come on,
be like, huh?
Come on. Like even then, like I can't imagine being such a bad criminal, you know what I mean? Doing something that crazy and not having like protections in place, you know?
There's a lot of dumb criminals out there, bro. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you heard about the guy that there was a website, just public website, and it's a meme.
Okay.
But it's like called Hire a Hitman or something ridiculous like that. And the guy was like, yeah, I used to be in the military. I worked as a bodyguard for a little bit and I wanted a job. So I applied to become a hitman. And I said I could just kill people for people. And he signed up. He put all of his legal information in there thinking this is a real job. And then they just arrested him. They're like, what a goober. Like, this isn't real. Like, it's not a real website. And they had, you know how like those t-shirt websites have like reviews?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, like 10 out of 10. I never had to worry about my ex-wife again. It's like, he fell for those. He's like, oh yeah, like I see you guys have glowing reviews. I want to sign up for a job here.
He just went on like incognito mode. He's like, oh no, not I don't want my internet like the person who pays the bills to see what I'm going through, you know? But like wait, the IP still sees it. You know, you understand that, right? Like
Hey,
That's
no,
so
no. What are you
funny.
talking? Don't ruin my man's dreams, Par.
Oh no. Oh
That's
no.
so fucking funny. There's so many goobers out there, man.
There are, and speaking about goobers, I'm curious. Given what you just experienced, I mean, hey, we could keep it in. We don't have to keep it in because we have a whole new system now. But you heard the story of because this is a trend, not a trend. I keep on saying trend as if like people are like you know like TikTok dance trend. Like people are doing this out of like fun, but like it's not appropriate to
Yeah.
call this a trend. But like it's more so like it's so hard, I think, in certain states, especially now, to like safely exist outside. And I know it's like there's like anxiety there, and there's like things in like the news, like not elaborates, amplifies a bunch of these things where it's like the mass shootings, right? Like
Yeah.
I just saw like the ninth mall mass shooting of like last week or whatever, and it's like one thing of the media blowing it up, but what I saw in the comment section there was people were like the video poster was like, oh, I'm a survivor of this mass shooting, and then like in the comments everyone was just like, oh, I survived this one, I survived that one, I survived this one. They were like coming together, and like these are like real, like you go Google these things, and I'm like, wait, that's like terrifying that like that many people are coming together on that. And I just saw a clip of like this dude who was just fishing on a lake, like in it's like his backyard, and his neighbor, and like he had a guest or something, like a friend, like he invited his like brother or something, and they were fishing in their lake in their backyard, something like that, right? And the neighbor starts shouting at them like, "Who are you? What are you doing?" And they're like clearly fishing, like they have the fishing rods, and they're standing. Like I'm not sure like what you could be possibly doing that's threatening when you're sitting in front of water for like hours. You know what I mean? Like you just watch them. It's like, huh, I wonder what they're doing. It's like, they're spending a lot of time staring at water. like that's a threat. And so the guy came out and said, "What are you doing?" And the people are like I have permission to fish here. And it's like, hold on, when do we need permit? Like I get you need permissions to fish, I get that, but like when I was a kid and I got brought around places, it was like, oh yeah, you're chilling, you know what I mean, it's fine, but do you have a license or whatever to do here, or you have permission to be in this thing, whatever, right? That kind of thing. And the guy just goes like, starts screaming, so who are you? And the guy's like, whoa, and then the guy who owns the house and is fine there, it's like, wait, Gary, it's me. And then you just hear gunfire, and then the guy starts
Gary, it's me, please.
and then you just hear like gunshots, and then you see like they're like the guys that's like, wait, Gary, what are you doing? It's me, your neighbor. And like he goes like super high pitch and like trying to,
I like to imagine the shooting just picks up.
yeah,
It goes crazier.
and then they de-escalate it, right? Like the neighbor was shooting at them. The guy goes to them. It's like, Gary, it's me, your neighbor. Why are you like whatever? And he doesn't even address why he's shooting. He's like, no, I get it. You're perfectly in your, that was perfectly, I get it. I would do this. I think he said I would do the same. And I'm like, is that normal? That's not normal, right? Like if someone's even like if they're on your property, right? Like if they're just staring out, it's not like they're at your front door, right? It's not like your kids are outside. It's not like your pets are outside. This is like staring at water. Like, what are you defending in that situation?
With a fishing pole?
Yeah. And and then when the guy said I would do the same, I was like, why? Like the guy just shot at you. You should be like scared to be like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's definitely like over the top, right? Like I'm not crazy. That's not like a normal, but like to him and them, they just had a normal conversation afterwards. If you or like my neighbors took a gun, fired at me and my guest, I don't think we could have like a civil conversation afterwards. You know?
I don't know. I think it depends, right?
If I'm like literally like it's like acres of land, right? Like I'm staring at water like for hours. Like I can see a world where it's like if I'm like walking up to your house in a disguise, and it's like, sure, you know what I mean? Like, sure, you know what I mean?
I'm asking for it at that point.
Yeah, but like if like if you see both my hands are clearly up, right, and I'm walking to your door, don't shoot at me. Like, what am I gonna do to you? You know what I mean? Like at that point, it's, I don't know. There's so many lines to cross, and that one was definitely not crossing any lines. I don't know how you can be fishing menacingly. You know what I mean? Never have I ever looked at a fisherman and been my life
he's gonna
is
ruin
threatened.
he's gonna ruin the ecosystem part. They worked years for that one.
Like even if they spent like an entire day, they couldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy that was the response for that. I forget. No, what were you gonna say?
I was about to say I like to think it's like me, because like whenever I hear a knock on the door, I like get defensive. I'm like, oh shit, like it's over. Like I'm just gonna die today.
Okay, and so that is the story that I wanted to ask you about, because like I get it knocking on their door, like, you know, especially in this day and age, it's like it's very different than when we're in the 2000s, right? And there was a story, I think it was last week, where a meteorologist, so this guy is like a weatherman.
Oh yes, I know this story.
You know the story.
Oh,
okay.
Tell people who don't know.
Okay, so he hears a knock on his door, and we hear the story all in one go. It's not like a video or anything, because he just posts about it on Facebook, and he thinks he's in the right. And so essentially what happens is door gets there's a knock on his door, and he is just like, yo, like you better be careful, like I'm loaded, whatever, right? And I'm strapped up, right? And so like he checks the door, and it's a 6-year-old. It's a 6-year-old knocking door, and he like knows her too. And so he goes on and he's like, better be careful, like you can't be knocking on my door and not expect to be like loaded full of clips or whatever. And I was like, what? How do you say that after like confirming that it's a 6-year-old? You know what I mean? And that's where I started getting this like other mentality where it's like, yeah, I don't, you know, don't open your door to strangers. Obviously someone knocks, especially in like my parents' house, where a lot of people don't knock on our doors, or, you know, whatever, like in our neighborhood, or like my wife's neighborhood, like my wife's parents' neighborhood, not my wife, because it would be the same neighborhood. My in-laws' neighborhood. It's like there's people knocking on the door all the time. It's like a very homely, like they do garage sales. It's like it reminds me of the 90s. It reminds me of like the early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
But now it's different. Definitely different. I get that. But like to like have the conception of like being armed first is like such a weird like societal acceptance, in my opinion, because it's like like ding dong ditch, right? That's like a harmless thing, and I get it now, it's not blah blah blah. But then you have this girl who's 6 years old, and it's like it's a 6-year-old. They're gonna do kid things, and it's like, what, are they not allowed to be outside, or like more oversight? But then it's like, I don't know, back in the day, we'd go to our neighbor's house. Sometimes they didn't know them. Sometimes they say hi. And back then, honestly, it was more scary to do that, because like we didn't have like social media and cameras and stuff like that, right? It not that it's harder to kidnap people now, but it kind of is hard. It was a lot easier to kidnap people back then than it is now. But like, I don't know. And then so like you just went through that, and it's like I'm just like, damn, like is it really like that? Like why do you feel like you need to do that first? You know what I mean? Rather than like, I don't know. It's just a weird thing. It's just a weird thing.
It's interesting because like, at least for me, like I've been through experiences where like not savory people have knocked at my door, or even like it's police, and I'm like, oh fuck, here we go again. You know, so it's like it's one of those things where, at least for me, it's like, gotta be prepared for anything. But if it was a 6-year-old girl, I wouldn't be like, all right, time to get the Glock, right?
Yeah, and then so like
I have common sense still. It's just like I am weary of people knocking on the door, especially when it's like not super common.
Yeah. No, I get that part too. Here's a I want to go back to the weatherman thing, because that story is not done, and it's like I'm separating out from like what Sai is saying and what this guy did, because like, you know, let's cover that first. So this guy like goes on the internet, says that, and then people are like, a 6-year-old, and he's like, yeah, you knock on my door, like I don't know, maybe
he doubled down.
Yeah, like he doubled down, and then like he tripled down in response afterwards. He's like, he like do you remember more of what he said? I honestly was like, no, this guy's just like insane.
He said something like, yeah, she shouldn't have been knocking on my door.
Yeah.
But he goes on, because people were giving him some like backlash for it, and he said I'm trying to remember. He said, yeah, she was looking for her lost dog, and I helped her find it. So no worries, guys.
Yeah, like he knew her, right?
Yeah.
And then to like say, because the thing is, it's like any other situation, not a 6 year old, maybe people wouldn't give him backlash, right? But then he got backlash for the 6 year old thing, and most people like, oh, I meant like people need to be careful of, you can't just like knock on the door like that, right? But then it's like, what do you do now, right? Like, is knocking on a door just that threatening? Like you just can't approach people like that anymore, right? It's like,
Yeah.
and that's like something that I feel like society shouldn't be at. And I get like it's like it goes back to that digital thing that we were just talking about, like the Mean Girls thing, right? Where the girl felt so awkward to have a real life experience of standing up for herself in the moment that she decided to use the internet. She decided to use the internet as her like vehicle of her message and have other people fight that message. And in similar fashion, this guy kind of did a similar thing where it's like, he posted about online thinking that people would support him, and it backfired. And
I'm surprised he thought people would like that.
Yeah, which is crazy and says a lot. Like, this is a weatherman. I don't know. I thought weathermen were wholesome, but then like behind it, it's like, why is knocking on the door that threatening? You know what I mean? Like, isn't that the generation?
Does the new age threaten you that much? Do they frighten you?
Yeah, it's and I get it. Like, the thing is, like, but you can install cameras. For me, it's like I would, if I'm that afraid, I would install cameras, like the Ring camera, and I could speak to somebody, right? Like, what are you here for, right? I would do that, right? If I don't recognize the person and they're not wearing like a uniform, which, by the way, just because they're in a uniform, don't open the door haphazardly, right? Like, especially look at their vehicle, look at there's passengers in their vehicle, look at how they're standing, because there's a lot of times that you see like a UPS like uniform and then it's a fake one, or it's an ex-employee and they're using that to make you comfortable, and then they enter in. Especially for women, like there's a bunch of like stories about how people are getting tagged, like they'll mark their car, vehicle, or something like that, to mark them for robbery, those kinds of things. That's all there, right? I get that, but I feel like there's so many other ways about like opening the door and allowing someone to knock on your door than to just escalate it to like
universal threat.
Yeah, to the point where this dude is like thinking it's normal to like, couldn't you look out the window? Couldn't you look out the window and be like, oh, there's just a small person outside my door? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I would do. I don't know. It's weird. It's such a weird thing.
No, like I remember I was telling this older lady earlier, she was like my grandma-in-law in a way.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and then like we just recently moved, and then she said, hey, like, have you seen your neighbors yet? And I was like, no. And then she was like, oh, like, why don't you go knock on their door and tell them you just moved in? And I was like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
You know, it's like such a begotten thing, because like it doesn't really exist nowadays.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no camaraderie when you like join a neighborhood.
But
at least in most cases.
But do you know your neighbors now?
No, God no.
Yeah, it's such a, because I'm the same way. Like, my wife always calls me the hermit kind of thing. Because if it were up to me and like I could have all the means that I need, I would be more recluse than not, public. Which is, my wife always laughs. She's like, you love being social. I'm like, oh yeah, but I also like just like, I just don't like people. Like that's just it.
Yeah.
And so, when we moved to our first apartment, that unit was such a, like, maybe I'll tell the story about it much later on, like when I'm older, but like this unit in this building was such a different vibe than anywhere else, in the sense of like, that building was made by very unique individuals, but it was also like the residents of it were very like important people, and they lived there for their like all of their life, to the point was when like these owners and people rented out their apartments, they wouldn't put it on the public market first. They would do word of mouth so that people could rent it to people who could fit like a community vibe kind of thing, where it's like, you know, like people who would be respectful of like elderly or more of all kinds of people, whether you're like an immigrant or you don't speak the same language, like that kind of thing, being an accepting thing, which was like very awesome, all things considered. Met a lot of really great people. But going into that, I was like, that's a good thing that we got, but I don't need to interact with that. You know what I mean? Like we got it here. My wife is happy about that. Cool. If I don't necessarily need to do anything with that. And like, then we got into the space where it's like, it's an apartment building, and like people saw that we moved in and they came in and gave us like gifts, and like they like baked stuff, and we did it back. And it was like, so it was such a like, I got job offers from that. Like these people were like so well connected, and they just like threw a conversation like, do you want to work at like my company, like blah blah. And I was like, hey, yeah, that'd be dope. And then, you know, I was diagnosed, and I was like, and then they're like, oh, like I didn't hear
I'm
back.
dying, guys.
Yeah, I didn't hear back from you. I was like, yeah, I'm kind of like, you know, I didn't want to. It's a difficult thing. I have cancer. And they're like, oh, I get it, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, people move away, you know, job place discrimination took place. No, I'm joking. But like, you know, but like that whole like vibe, even though that I was like, I'm like this person that doesn't necessarily go out of my way or care for it or whatever, I still prefer that to not having that. The fact that that can exist and is safe, and like, you know, it was like a positive thing, and it can be a positive thing. And I kind of missed that. I like that a lot. Whereas like getting to meet all these people saying hi, hello, you know, it got a little obnoxious when you did like a commute and you see the same person every day, and it's like, oh damn, if I come out like 105, then I'm gonna see this dude, so I'm gonna wait till 106 so they're on the elevator and then, you know, you could skip them out. But like,
you learn people's schedule just so that you can avoid them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a testament to what I'm like. I'm like, oh damn it, I'm gonna run into this guy and he's gonna talk his head off, or like,
yeah, not this person.
Yeah. So it's like, but like, I like that. I think that's a good thing. And I don't know if we're going to ever get that back again, because how, like, apparently a 6-year-old is a threatening source to a weatherman. You know what I mean? Like, a weatherman was about to unload a clip. I was going to say unload, and I was like, whoa, that's a... A weatherman was about to make it rain. Oh, whoa. Bullets. Bullets.
He was going to make it rain bullets, yeah. Yes. It's not snowing here. It's just bullets. It's not raining.
Oh, God.
It's raining blood of this 6-year-old.
I feel like that was one of his comments, too. I feel like he had to be like, listen, like, people come to the door, I'm going to make it rain or something. I feel like it had to be one of his things. And but anyways, this is so sad. And there's more of those stories that I don't necessarily want to talk about, because those are like way more heated and also just sad and kind of like crazy. It's just more.
I just like that he posted that thinking that people would like agree, be like, oh yeah, fuck
yeah. And he also referenced the other, like, these other things that are happening in current acting, like, one, that they were right when those people are in jail. One, the people who did what he said he would do are now in prison or in court. And then the other side of it was the victim, like the I'm not saying that the people who knocked on the door of the other people, like, they were wrong to be knocking on someone's door, or they shouldn't have been doing that, or the victims were wrong in any place. But the 6-year-old is definitely way different than all the other people. Like, in terms of patterns, the guy linked to a pattern that just wasn't there, right? Like,
that's a matter of opinion part. What if she's actually a killer in a different life?
Hey, Liz, like,
do you know what her past life did? No. All right, that's
like,
what I thought.
Dude, like, he was making a pattern of these adults knocking on someone's door, and these like senior citizens, like, you know, doing what they did, and somehow those senior citizens are now in prison. And he was like, "Yep, you see that guy?" I'm like, "Wait, hold on, he's in prison. You know that, right? Like, he's in jail right now.
You know this isn't socially acceptable."
Yeah, and a 6-year-old didn't knock on his door. I'm pretty sure in jail, that guy would be like, "Nah, bro, you're a little like, you were threatened by a 6-year-old." Like, that's what that dude would say. You know what I mean? Like, it's so crazy because then it goes on to another route where it's like assessing threats, right? Like what you said,
Yeah.
like you were joking about the 6-year-old thing, but like people like don't have street smarts anymore, which fair. Like I think it's kind of scary given a lot of the crimes recently, even like in Canada. But like I feel like my street smarts that I developed when I was younger is kind of like, not that it's not valuable anymore, because you can still discern like that guy's crazy, like we should steer clear of that person. But as far as like the nuance of how a situation goes down,
That guy's doing fentanyl.
you
I should
never
avoid him.
know. You never know now. Like this dude probably just has a gun. You know what I mean? Like you have to basically
Yeah.
think that everybody has a gun, no matter where you are. And that's such a
A
sad
gun or a
reality.
knife.
Even though that's not necessarily the reality, especially like I talked to a few like Canadians, and they were scared to come to New York because they were like, isn't it like every day you see a gun? I'm like, no, like it's weird if you see a gun. Like it's absolutely weird if you see a gun in New York, because no one like carries like openly. Even though I think in New York, not in Manhattan, I don't think you can, because like the thing is like the only time you'll see it is because in Manhattan they have like snipers and SWAT and like military patrolling certain parts like all times now.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so like, you know, if you have a gun out in Manhattan, like you're going to be patted down. Like that's going to happen. So like I've been to the city many times, used to be there all the time, used to live basically in the city, and didn't see any guns. And it's just such a crazy thing though, because at the same time it's like, nah, like everybody has a gun though. Like at the same time, that's kind of if I'm in the city and someone's trying to start beef, it's like, hey,
He's gonna shoot me if this escalates.
yeah, or has a knife, you know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
honestly, a gun is more likely, which is kind of scary.
You solve the problem by also having a gun. It's an endless cycle.
Yeah, endless cycle. Oh, we talked about it, right? The Texas, the schools, they passed the new law where it's like
No.
they
The one where the teachers are strapped, or what?
yeah, it's mandated that
Yeah.
all teachers, all schools have like security, armed security. All teachers have the panic button, and are weaponed, armed. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
It's crazy reality. I
Yeah.
just homeschool at that point.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad. Oh, you know what?
That's where I'm at.
Yeah. See, me and my wife. The thing is, me and my wife have always, ever since we were young, because how our school systems were. She went to a really good school. I went to a really bad school. You know, and then we went to colleges, and like education system is never just like there's too many to be young and be able to notice the flaws of the education system says a lot about the education system. Like, you know, it's one thing to be an adult looking back and be like, yeah, that's a problem, you know what I mean? But to be a
Yeah.
kid and like existing within it and being very cognizant of those issues, and it's only growing worse is another thing. But now you add a whole safety aspect to it. It's like, yeah, we're just gonna homeschool. Me and my wife we've already talked about that, and she's also, because she used to work with children, she used to work with families who did homeschool, and those kids, they're a different breed of like than the homeschool stigma back in my day. You know what I mean? Like now it's like there's a whole structure around homeschooling that just is so dope to me. I'm honestly on the boat where it's you homeschool, but you put them in like all like the programs, like the public programs, because you could still do that, like whether it's soccer.
No, that is what I'm doing too. That's
Yeah.
what me and my wife talked about that. I was like, hey, if we have a kid, like I'd feel safer with them being homeschooled, and then just put them in like sports, like you said, like
Yeah.
public sports or like public groups or whatever,
because they'll
so
still
they can
learn.
still get that socialization.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, back in the day, that socialization curve was heavy. I knew like 3 closer friends who were homeschooled, and then one of them went into public school later. One of them stayed in private but came to like the public stuff, and then another one was public into private and stayed on our like orbit of public teams. And it's just not the same thing now. Now the kids who are homeschooled, honestly, sometimes are just more equipped of like maturity, because the thing is, it's like, especially in public schools, you are like, the people around you reflect on you, and are surrounded by a bunch of other kids. And so a bunch of other kids, it's fine to be kids or kids, but that's why the homeschooling route, it's like, if those kids are smart, or they're surrounded by a higher percentage of adults, they're going to become more mature as a result of that. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're less equipped socially. Like, there's a whole slew of things that are involved in there that you have to do in a smart way, which is where the sports come in, right? And not sports, but like, there's so many other things. Like, you put them in academic clubs as well, math clubs or whatever, and yeah, they'll end up learning. I think nowadays, especially with the internet, that's like a better, like a better reason for the internet to exist, to like bridge certain gaps that don't exist without it replacing the certain gaps that have existed, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, no, I got you.
Yeah. Homeschooling, I think, is going to become a bigger.
It's gonna become meta.
Yeah, yeah. I'm hoping it does, because that was one of the main reasons. Like, I see my future as like, like, I still devote a lot of time even now to like my son can recognize patterns, like, since like the 1 month mark of like ABCs versus 1, 2, 3, and like songs and different things like that. And
ABC 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, like meaning like the pattern recognition of like, if you like say it in a song, right, that's one thing. But then if you like just say like A, B, C, like that,
Yeah,
and it's like, if they don't recognize it, that's important. But then I did that with like 1, 2, 3 and things like that, and like, that's like versions of homeschooling. Whereas even now, people are putting their kids into like daycare and stuff like that, and they don't do that kind of thing, right? They just take care of your kid and kind of like run through, especially at like the infant kind of like level of daycare. So we already kind of do want to do the homeschooling thing,
and not even just like the bad crowds of kids too.
Yeah,
but I feel like just like the quality of teachers is another thing I'm worried about.
Yeah.
You never know nowadays. Like, maybe you'll have your kid come home from school, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, Miss Susie wanted me to talk about my penis."
And you know what's crazy?
Like, oh God!
That bring up an important point. One of the people that homeschooled when I was growing up, their kids were geniuses. Like, so the son that was basically my age or younger, he was in college when I was a sophomore. So like, he skipped like 3 grades. He could have skipped more, and he went to an Ivy League too. And so he was just like mega genius kind of level kid. And we took some of the same classes, but then he just like transcended, which is like,
he evolved.
Yeah. And so his sister was the same way, where she was 4 years younger, but then she was in our classes. Like, she went from the middle school to the high school to take our classes. And the teacher, her parents, or her mom, was a college professor, but she was like a genius abroad, right? Like, she won awards and stuff like that, and she was a college professor, like, in America. And for whatever reason, our public school administration didn't approve her as a teacher in our school. And I was like, what? So this is like, bar none, like the smartest person in this building, and she's not qualified to be a teacher, yet she's a college professor in America? And they're like, yeah. And like, we could have had like the best math teacher in the state, because she was like teaching like she was teaching like graduate classes and like PhD students, right? Like, and she wanted to teach our school because her daughter was going to go through our school system. And so she wanted to be like a part of that education system, because she had gripes about how like certain things were taught to the son. And so like, but the son was older, blah, blah. So all these things, and she couldn't do that. And I'm like, damn. And even as a kid, I was like, so this highly qualified person could have been teaching us, and they couldn't because of bureaucracy. Like, what is that? That's like the most garbage thing I've ever seen. And that's only getting worse because the pay to teachers and school shootings and plethora of other things, right? On top of it, man, man.
Because she wouldn't teach sex ed part. That's the main reason. If she was willing to do that for kids, then she would have been accepted.
Is that a thing right now where teachers like they have to sign
Yeah.
up on like certain states? That's part of the curriculum, and if they're not comfortable with being a teacher for that, they don't get signed on?
Oh, that I'm not too sure about.
Okay.
I can't tell if I'm like just watching all the wrong news sites, but there's been like a lot of cases of teachers teaching kids things that they probably shouldn't have been taught. In terms of like either sexuality or just like sex in general.
I saw
like,
one of those, but
I
that
don't know
one
about that.
seemed more like the teacher was the wrong one, because when the like, it's always the weirdest thing when the administration protects those teachers, and then you know it's like, oh, this is a problem versus like if it's just a teacher, that's a problem, right? But like if
you
they're
don't want
not
it to be like systematic.
yeah, if they're not being protected, then it's an easy what happened is a problem. That doesn't change, right? But if it's systemic, like you're saying, and they're being protected, that's a whoa, we're moving kind of thing. Like I would move instantly if like the principal, like even if I'm getting mind roping to what story you're talking about, because I think I sent you one also about it, a similar thing. And if like the principal ever like was like, no, but this is what they, it's like, no, I would I feel like I said this before, but if anybody ever like to my face said some shit like that, even if it weren't my kid, I don't think I'd be able to like restrain myself. You know what I mean? Like that person is being civilian arrested. And like we're moving this person from society. There's no defending that. You know what I mean? Like I can't tolerate that. If I ever heard that to my face, it's like not that it's like the sea red, but like it's like, yo, we gotta address this, and it's not like we gotta address this like through email, through a conversation over the phone. No, we're addressing this like with lawyers and like people listening, and you like they need to hear what you just said. You know, that's how I interpret that. And I don't know how people can like adults can like defend certain things where it's like you can like a person and then they do something and like you like it's not like a did they do that? No, like they definitely did that. And they're like, oh, but they didn't, like no, like that's not like. And then in terms of in the classroom, right? Because it's like in order to get to that environment of situation in a classroom setting, that's even weirder, right? It's such a like, oh my god, oh my goodness.
Hey, public schools are scary. We're putting the fear of God in new parents. I like to imagine that.
The thing is, it's like the fear, the way you worded it is accurate, because I don't think now that I am a dad, I had the same feelings, same mindset about everything that I'm saying right now prior to becoming a dad. But after it like the biology kicked in, after like whatever godly situation trigger switched, I get like so much more of like that thing, like the fear of God. No, like that's actually it, right? Like if I was scared of public school systems before, now it's like terrifying, right? It's like this is like I keep thinking about it, and I get it. Like, well, you're gonna have to let go of your kids someday. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're gonna have to go out, do their own thing. I do that all the time. Like, my wife was having the like attachment struggle of like, when we were giving it to our like grandparents or whatever, and she was busy and she was just like so ingrained in work or whatever. And then like 3 hours go by and she's like, it's like, oh my God, I forgot about the kid. And it's like, no, you planned this. It's fine. You had everything in store. This is how it has to be, right? Like that's a normal sense of life. But then it's like school, 9 hours, you're giving responsibility to these adults that like, I get why parent-teacher conferences are so important, right? Because it's like, I am going to interrogate these people. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm ever going to that situation, they I'm going to ask them so many questions, not so many questions, but like questions I'll be able to understand a little bit more. And then I'll put certain red flags, I'll be like, hey, if this teacher says this to you, tell me immediately. Because then I know I use my adult, vision.
Imagine they just say like, yeah, I like to sexually assault people in my free time.
No,
it's something ludicrous.
But there's like, not like,
what is it,
dog whistles? That's not the right word. But there's like these people, when they drop their guard when around kids, right? And the kids don't have their guard up enough to recognize that it's not innocent, right? So it's like there's only a certain type of way that you get into that situation. And when you figure out that there's like a pipeline, right? Like there's a funnel of how to get into that situation, and a few keywords, a few conversations, then you say like, hey, this teacher gave me interesting. I'm not going to say anything out loud. I'm not going to accuse them of anything. But if they ever talk about apparel, your clothing, tell me about it. You know what I mean? Like if they comment about your clothing 4 times in a week, talk to me. Tell me about that. You know what I mean?
If they talk about your skin color, let me know.
Look, I told my parents about that, and like, and so like one of my I'm not gonna say who it is. I think they got fired, but good. I wish
the teacher's racist. Maybe they're not amazing.
This teacher was sexist and racist, and
no, not the double whammy.
Double whammy. I got the double whammy, and
both?
It was.
You usually have to pick one, right?
That's what I thought. I was like, come on.
Yeah, they leveled up. Yeah, they got like double EXP over here. What's going on?
Yeah, and the thing is, I had data to prove it, and I proved it through like experiments. All my female friends are like, hey, can you just come with me to talk to this teacher real quick? And then when I did that, much quicker, straight. Like, so there was times where this girl would copy my homework, right? For example.
Yeah.
And obviously I'd be like, yo, you gotta do like every 4 wrong. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you're not gonna do this and blah, blah. And like, the other thing was like, I didn't do my own homework. Like, not that I didn't do my own homework, but I wouldn't do my homework ahead of time. I always did my homework like the 5 minutes before class. Because I was just like lazy, and homework was that like super easy. And so I ended up just helping people with their homework, like in passing by. And I was still too lazy to pull out my own homework, just do it. So that ended up being why I was able to do my homework super fast, because I already knew all stuff. And I was like, you got to get every 3 wrong. Like, if you asking me for the answers, you got to accept that, right? She gets 100. I get a 70 or like a 60, as if I got every other question wrong, right? And I'm like, hold on.
Hey, maybe you did get it wrong though.
And so, hey, we go through the answers, and then I bring it up to him, and I kid you not, it was like my study hall or whatever, and like I literally spent like 30 minutes, like asking him why these points were deducted, even though he told me that I was right, like in class, just not to my face. And he's like, oh, it's because like in this context, like he gave me pushback after telling me the answers, in like everybody heard the answers. It's not like a secret what the answers were. And he was like, no, you're wrong. I'm like, what? And then the next time I brought like a few girls, and then it's like, oh, no, I'm so sorry. It was 100. And then I did that with like, I asked like my other Asian friends. I was like, huh. And then I was like, okay, let me bring my like black friends and like Indian friends. Let's see what happens here. And then the difficulty, there was a spectrum. And let me just tell you, for some reason, I was the crux of it. It was the most wild thing, because like, I remember I wrote a short story. We had to write a short story. That was the one time he gave me 100 off rip. Every other time, it was like I had to fight a mountain. Every single time. And the thing is, he was friends with the teacher who got fired for having a relationship with the female student. And I was like, while we were at school.
A W teacher, right?
It was the craziest thing, because I felt gaslighted the entire time. I told my parents, I was like, they were like, why are you doing so bad in this class? I was like, the teacher is racist and he's sexist and I can't do anything about it. And I was just like, what, do you have any solutions? Like, no, you just got to deal with it. I was like, but like, he's blatantly racist. Like, he's actually, and blatantly sexist. Like you could just, if I just like put up a camera you could just see it. Like one day, that's all you need. And they're like, nah. And I'm like, that won't be me. And I get it, the difference, but then you get that, it's like a slippery slope, right? I'm not saying this particular teacher was like that, but he was particularly close with that other teacher that ended up doing something very wrong. And I'm like, I mean, hey, maybe it's not apples to apples, but like maybe it's an orange and apple, but they're both fruits. And like it's kind of interesting, I think I got an eye for those things. So my child ain't gonna be the same way my parents let me out into the world, for sure.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
What a teacher, bro.
Yeah. Not that my parents wouldn't defend me though, but
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Speaking of teachers, though, have you seen the Olympics?
All right, I've heard things. I don't even know if I can say good things or bad things, because when you were talking about it on stream last night, I had to leave. Like I was like, what about? I was holding the baby, and so like I was like, what about you? And you deciphered my message, and you're like, oh, what about the Olympics? I was like, Sai gets me, And then you started going on about it, and I had to go, and I was like, no, this is exactly what we're gonna talk about. I did not hear about the Olympics. What's good with the Olympics?
Fortnite got added.
Oh.
Fortnite is in the Olympics. But, hear me out. It's not Fortnite.
It's a clone?
No. So, what you might be thinking is like, wait, Fortnite, not Fortnite? What is Sai talking about? Well, Fortnite is now an official esport in the Olympics.
I heard about esports in the Olympics. I was on board. I actually have a whole separate thing, because back when I was a gamer, I made like gaming content and about how I said in the future it's going to be in the Olympics. Like I have a whole video where I showed one of my friends a whole presentation about the future of gaming. Even in job hiring, there's already games you have to play a game to get hired into a lot of jobs now. That's a fact. A fact.
Hey, you're not wrong, but I don't think you expected this type of esport part where Fortnite is added, but instead of actually playing Fortnite because they don't want to incite violence, they are actually just doing Fortnite, but it's a shooting competition.
So I saw
like aim labs.
That's funny. I saw that they had like 9 different esports games, and they're all just like black and white, like reactionary kind of things, where they're just testing someone's reaction type of situations. I didn't know about the shooting one though. That's funny. So it's just like the Osu. It's just that.
Yeah. It's like that, but I don't know how they're gonna do that for Fortnite necessarily, but that is what they're going with, and that makes, at least to me, it makes like 0 sense. Why even include Fortnite at that point? Just put like aim labs or something else there.
Why not?
Like it's so strange.
Okay, wait, that's so dumb, because what they could easily do if they care not. Wait, hold on. The Olympics has guns. First of all, they have they have literally like shooting in there in the triathlon and in a separate like sport. Like they have rifles. But
they're not shooting people, like Fortnite. Fortnite would cause too many people to die on the street.
So then they could just mandate like robots. Like they just have the skins just be robots, and they put a lock on what, like you can't just be Goku or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
you can't be Ariana Grande shooting up Goku.
Yeah. So just make it what? And then if you're so worried about like like the AK, because in the Olympics it's like rifles, it's like the musket kind of. It's not like ARs and stuff like that. It's not like a machine gun type of thing. Whereas in Fortnite, like you could have like sniper. I think they do have snipers in the Olympics.
Yeah, they have like snipers. They have Kamehameha. They got everything. You got like bottles of potions.
So if that's the case, then just take off the skin and just put like the naming of it or something, right? Just make the skins restricted. That's the What do you mean? Hold on.
So they made a statement too. They said that they want to stay relevant with the younger generations. So they felt that they had to include esports, but I don't think they understand that like that's putting Fortnite but not Fortnite isn't gonna bring anybody. Like, that's just so lame. Like, who the fuck's gonna compete in that?
I don't want to knock Fortnite, but like Fortnite has gone through its turbulence in terms of competitiveness. You know what I mean? Fortnite had a novelty. That novelty spun out into a competitively capable game, but that competitiveness was secondary to the hype of the game, in that like, yeah, the Fortnite had an issue of like, they were patching for competitive people and patching for casuals, and the casuals and competitive people, they were split because, and then now they have like the no build mode because like casuals can't play in the build mode because it's too sweaty and it's too competitive. But when you think about that mode, that is insane. Like the amount of macro that you'd have to do, as long as you're not using macros, if you're manually inputting all of those macros, to me, yeah, that's impressive. That is something that is worth putting on a pedestal if you're competing at a high level, making decisions, all that stuff, and the tactic, high ground, whatever, right? Like a military type of thing, which is like drone fighting, right? I get that. But there are other games. I don't know why the Olympics doesn't treat esports like they would like the like FIFA or the World Cup and like the NBA, right? It's like you're not replacing them. You're just creating a separate tournament.
Here's a good one too. Have you seen the other esports and games that are in the Olympics?
I saw that they're like basically like Pong. Like they were basically like super stripped down, like random, like Wii Sports, but like without the fun. You know?
Yes, yeah. It's Wii Sports, and there's one that I thought was so egregious. It was it's called Tic Tac Bow, and it's a phone game where you're like like. You ever see those old school like 2000s web ads where it's like, oh, shoot this arrow or shoot this bullseye over here, and then you win like $5,000, which is like a scam?
Yeah.
It's like those games. Like those are the type of games they're bringing to the Olympics. There's even virtual Taekwondo.
What? Why?
And it's like, bro, you literally have fucking Taekwondo in the Olympics. Why bring virtual, like, who's this appealing to? They have virtual cycling in the Olympics.
See, like
virtual Rabata. Like, who the fuck is doing this? Yeah, it's so stupid.
Who's behind it? Because and like they're saying that when you go on the younger people, when you ask your grandchild about what they are interested in the digital space, what they'd like to see, yeah, I'm sure virtual digital Taekwondo and cycling was on the top of the list. And it's like, the thing is, like, they don't need to do anything. Like, there are games that don't incite violence. Like yes, I'm a little biased because League, but like League of Legends is a competitive game that has multiple global competitions in the same right as normal sports. All you'd have to do is create a separate tournament for it, which is what you do for everything else. No one looks at like soccer and thinks like, oh my god, the Olympic gold medalist team for soccer is the worldwide best. No, they look at the World Cup and they look at like the Premier Leagues, right? Those are like the best players, best teams. No one looks at the Olympics that way, but they have the Olympics like that, right? It's just a showcase of like the nation's top stuff. And it's like, I don't know why they handle it so different, because like Tetris is such an easy, long-standing competitive thing that has existed. Like, why not just do Tetris? Like, that's so easy.
There's so many things they could do, they just don't. Yeah, I don't understand.
And then the other part of it is like, that's so disconnected, because the thing I just said, there's literally companies that are hired by like think about the Fortune 500, whether even if it's not in tech, business, like consultants, like from that realm to even like the engineering realm, where a lot of these companies, they hire you, and I think like whether it's before you even get into interviews or if it's like a second round thing, they give you a video game. Like literally, it's you can download some of these games on your phone to practice. Like I have a few of them. They're good to keep your brain going. There are companies that are specific for testing out certain aspects of your like ability to react, like the speed of that, but process information, process types of information, just from games, and they're really fun too, and they're also really accurate. I've said this a lot. Like you can you can create a really powerful profile of people based on not just what kind of games they like, what kind of games they gravitate towards, how they operate in those games, what they like in those games. You could do a lot of that, and that's what those games are doing. And they're in like global hiring practices. So for the Olympics to be so disconnected that not even like in a professional setting they're tapping into that because it exists. They don't have to go to Riot Games. They don't have to go to Epic Games. They don't even have to go there. They can go to like Siemens, like a statistic company. Like they can go to all of these different companies and just like, hey, what would be a good game for us to like assess a competitive standard amongst individuals? It's all there. Oh my God, that's so depressing. That's so depressing.
It really is. It's so bad. They only have one game that I think is good, and that's Gran Turismo for racing. And I was like, okay, you know, that's actually a competitive game that people will play.
Like the app, you just play that game? Like
yeah.
Is it like
like multiplayer?
Is it like a controller, or do they got the virtual setup?
I think it's controller.
The virtual setup is so cool.
But it's like, if you can put Gran Turismo in there, why not like Rocket League too? Like, because that's a huge esport. People love Rocket League, right?
I saw. There's no information validating it, but there was I saw in multiple places. Some of the content creators we view frequently also covered it, and they talked about it in a legitimate way. So I'm just going out there. Maybe this is more legitimate than not, but they ranked average IQ for player bases. And so like obviously like, you know, MOBA tactic games like League and like Dota, those are up there. And then I forget the game, like Fortnite was a little bit lower, but it wasn't that far down because of like the competitive was actually crazy. And like your processing, and the IQ is like processing, right? And they said that Rocket League on base was the lowest average, like the player base had the lowest average IQ. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. Because Rocket League looks kind of sick. It does look really cool.
Oh, I hate Rocket League.
I never played it, but like it looks cool. You know what I mean? Like it looks fun.
It's very flashy with color.
Yeah. But Gran Turismo, like, but then I'm thinking, like, wait, do they have like racing in? Do they have like F1 in the Olympics? Because like, or like stock racing, like what? Why? Like I get having the esport, but you could also just incorporate the driving one because that's like a crazy sport too.
So like do you mean like real racing?
Yeah. Do they have that?
Even if they do, they'd still put Gran Turismo in there, right? Like they have virtual taekwondo, virtual archery.
Yeah,
they have
I'm fine with
virtual
that.
ping pong.
But I'm saying it's weird to me that they put like Gran Turismo as a racing thing, but they don't have the real version of that. When it's like, if they can recognize the value of it in the virtual setting, couldn't you recognize the value of it in the real setting? Like, right? Like,
and well, they don't want to promote violence, Par. Come on.
Yeah, and like awful,
get with the times.
Awful driving standards, right? We already have an epidemic with that.
They're like, if we show fast cars, people are just gonna speed and kill each other.
Apparently so, and like, if we show people shooting bow and arrows, and like they're just gonna go out and start shanking people with
like, I like to think that's how they really think the world is. Like, oh man, the minute we show a violent movie, everybody's gonna become violent. Fuck.
Yeah, I wish it was.
It's gonna happen.
I wish it was like that, because then like everyone would be powerlifting, right? Everyone would be running, like swimming. Meanwhile, most of the people are just like, that's just not for me, you know? Normal human functions, not me. Couldn't be.
Would you watch the Olympics now that this happened? Are you more interested in watching the Olympics?
I always watch the Olympics. I like the Olympics.
Yeah.
I like the history of it. I like the nostalgia that I had for it. I like keeping track with how records break, and then also like how the different stories of people getting there. Will I watch the esports thing? Once I'll give it a try. I always give something a try. Does it make me more interested? Not necessarily. I would always watch it. The thing is, I don't think it would be able to get me interested, because right now I don't know what like top is. what top esports gamers are gonna sign on for this? You know what I mean? Like, is Faker gonna be enticed to like, you know what I mean? Like that's a half of the reason why people
TSM's gonna show up playing Rubata.
Yeah, they're definitely gonna be there, but they're gonna send their F team. You know what I mean? Like, they don't need.
You're not gonna get anybody cool there.
Yeah, they're and like, oh my god, you got the Olympic gold medal. I'm not knocking on the person that ends up getting the Gran Turismo gold medal in. Oh, you like that? You like the virtual Olympics? my son just started laughing hearing me talk about this.
They were laughing at virtual taekwondo.
Yeah, like I'm proud of whoever gets a gold medal, even if it's in these esports things, but. They probably, if they are going out to like bars and being like, yo, look at me, and then like
they have to know it's a joke. They 1,000,000% have to know it's a meme.
It's not something like you can go back home and brag about, or like people can brag to you about. Like, even if you were TSM, right?
Yeah.
And I think Bjergsen left, right? But I think Bjergsen, because he was gonna. Oh, he's an owner, I think now. So like Bjergsen's important, right? Like, I can't imagine you becoming a gold medalist in the Olympics, going back home to TSM and be like, "Look at me, Bjergsen. Can I get a pay raise?" And then he's just like, "I could do that in my sleep." You understand that, right? Like, I just didn't want to embarrass myself. Like that's kind of what it is, and I'm hopeful that like we have to allow it to happen one time for there to be improvements to be had, but like in that regard, I'm not hopeful that improvements will be made because this is like the Olympics, you know?
It just feels like they're ran by geriatric patients too.
Yeah.
Like you got like a group of Joe Bidens up there or something just making decisions like, I think the youngins will love this one.
Yeah. All of that is just so wild. There was an AI story, I feel like, connected to this. Oh no, it was the Writers Guild stuff, but we pushed further away from that topic line, but that I think it's relevant to us and what we know of and things that we cover. But yeah, like the Olympics. Listen, like, I think,
what are you guys doing over there?
I think the reason why I was thinking about the AI thing is like we should just have AI make the decisions. I think AI would come to much better decisions about if you asked ChatGPT, I want to incorporate a virtual esports. I want to incorporate esports into a competitive place amongst the Olympic Games. How can I do this in a meaningful way? That was my son. How can I do that in a meaningful way to benefit society and respect the Olympic Games and you know, whatever? I'm pretty sure ChatGPT would come to a much better conclusion and answer. And like, I don't, some of these decisions I see some organizations make, not just the Olympics, I'm just like, bro, let's just give it to AI and see what they say. Just one time, just see one time.
Yeah, we just test it out. Test it out.
Just hand it over. Just hand over the reins. Let's give it like a month. Give it a month. And if things go bad, I'm pretty sure it still did better than you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure it still did better than like 90% of the people on this board, you know?
If you just ask it like, hey, how do I turn the quickest profit? It would say, add everything, add in every esport except for the ones you actually added in.
Yeah.
Like, get rid of tic-tac-toe, get rid of virtual cycling, get rid of all these whack-ass games, and actually put games in there. Like, it's genuine Wii Sports.
Yeah.
Like, it's something you'd see, like, that's revolutionary in the age of the early 2000s, and that's it.
Wii Sports, even if it were Wii Sports, like legitimately Wii Sports, I'd be more fine with. But the thing is, it's not, because Wii Sports, like you got a whole thing going on too. You know what I mean? Like, you got movement as well.
It's just gonna come down to who can cheat the best, in my opinion. Like, when it comes to these like really random indie, like they're genuinely indie games. When it comes to those like being competitive, it's really just who can break the game the best, right?
Yeah, and I want to say
who can find the best cheat code.
I respect esports as a sport, but the reason why I said Wii Sports is better than that, because it follows the movement. Because if you're taking away like the tactics of esports and in a large way, and like visual recognition in a large way, then what you're left with is you have to compensate it with something. And I feel like that's where like the Wii stuff came in, where like, yeah, like you could like bowling, right? Like the bowling one. I was cracked at it. But the thing is, like, if you did what the Wii told you to do and like follow through and do the motion, you would never get it because your human arc will never be optimized to for the algorithm. So that's where I came in. I was like, wait, you don't need to do all that. You just have to like, you just got to do like this like 6-degree motion, quick swipe, like a 20 inch per second movement. And like, if you do that, then you'll get it. And if you're able to get that algorithm down and know the most efficient way to do it, hey, I respect that. You know what I mean? Maybe they're gonna make it more difficult, more now that we have like VR equipment and AR stuff. I think that they should incorporate that, because like, have you done a VR game, like where you're on like an Omni treadmill?
Not Omni treadmill, no, but like I've done VR before.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, so I've done it, not like with the what's it called, like the PS5 or whatever, or Oculus or anything like that. But I did do the Omni treadmill thing. That's kind of sick. That's kind of cool.
That would be too realistic, Par.
Yeah, I guess so.
For the Olympics, that'd be too realistic.
I just see it like, I feel like airsoft. Not that I'm a particular fan of airsoft like as a leisurely thing myself. And like, you know, the various communities can be as crazy as they are, but like, I feel like there's a certain value to like imagine an airsoft Olympic US team versus an airsoft Chinese Olympic.
See, that would be dope, but they wouldn't like,
it's just airsoft
wouldn't
though.
Do that. They wouldn't do that, Par.
I know, but like, that's what it should be, right? Like,
dude, if they're not gonna let virtual bullets fly, they're 1,000,000% not gonna let airsoft bullets fly. There's no fucking way.
But I feel like that's what the Olympics originally technically was for. The
Olympics is dying year to year. Less and less people are watching it.
So how would you revive it? Yeah, I know that, but like, how would you revive it?
Get rid of the boring sports. There's so many boring ones. The Winter Olympics is garbage. The regular Olympics is garbage. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I watched some reality TV shows here or there, and then every now and then we'll have like contestants pop up, and it's like, yeah, I was 2012's Olympic gold medalist for some random ass, the 50-yard dash. It's like, who gives a fuck, dude? Like, it's not even that cool anymore. Like, it's so fucking lame.
For track, I'm a drop. Track and field to me maintains it. I think track and field, swimming to me, like the aquatic stuff, like the pool stuff, that maintains it. Those are my main things. And then the winters one, I like all the ice, like the speed skating, like all that stuff. That's cool. Snowboarding to me used to be cool, but then the biggest news out of the Winter Olympics was how that like random lady who abused a point system, and she got put into the Olympics by a technicality in that she participated in all the competitions that could get you put in, and she just went for the bare minimum. And to get the bare minimum, you just had it to not get like points deducted, and that's what she did. So she was in a bunch of like low populated, I might be reframing this in the wrong way, but it's essentially the same thing as what I'm saying. She was in all these like sport competitions that allow you to not nominate. What's it called when what are the trials called before you do like the preliminaries? Qualify. The competitions that allow you to qualify to be a qualifier in the Olympics. She participated in all of those, and there was basically like, in order to get qualified in some of those, you just had to not be bad. You just had to not mess up. And that's what she did. And so she literally just went like up and down. And then so you have her on the same, I'm not like, obviously I don't know too many of the female athletes in the snowboarding thing, but basically on the same platform as like a Shaun White, right? Like where Shaun White is insane. And then you just have the next person up and down the slope. Just that. And she's not messing up, but that's what she did. And she doesn't look comfortable. She's not good at snowboarding. That's how bad she is. Like, she doesn't even look like she looks like she's on like well, I've like the not the diamond one. What's the easy slopes, the bunny slopes or whatever? Like it looks
Yeah,
like
the
she's
bunny slopes.
that's what how competent she is at snowboarding. And so like the fact that that exists, but the overall thing, it's like, yo, the reason why, and I said this in that video about why future of esports is going to be like Olympic level, is because the Olympics originally were like pseudo warfare, right? Like instead of fighting the war,
people used to care about it, man.
you'd have your best warrior, or not your best warrior, a warrior trained by your best warrior to participate and represent your country. And then now it's like that region becomes like, oh my god, they had a hero, like this guy is a god, like that kind of thing. And then you get respect and you have this festival, and like that's why people cared, because like most dudes were out there riding horses or spear fighting or sword fighting or acting like gladiators, like all of those sports, right? Or running, racing, marathon, whatever. Whereas now all of the sports that are in there are largely leisure. And the thing is, they don't reflect our country anymore. They don't reflect how our country operates, even on a military standpoint, because now military is less physical and more digital. And that's like the overarching thing, whereas that's why esports is so much more important. And I always reference that Marvel thing where in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, if you remember at the end of it, there was like that planet of gold people that were like chasing after like the people, and they were in fighter jets, but they were just like playing in like an arcade thing, right? That's like the future. That's actually it. And there's so much processing involved there, where like that's where we need to go, and that would be relevant. That's the thing. That's more relevant to our future and our world and how our world operates. And I don't get why they don't do that. Like they just need to make, and the airsoft thing, right? I'm not saying esports only, but the airsoft thing.
That's a way. No, I 1 million. Like if they wanted, if the Olympics wanted to like start garnering more views again, get rid of the boring sports, in my opinion. Get rid of the ones that nobody watches or has very little audience. Get rid of those completely. Yeah. You're gonna have like maybe 5 people that are super angry at you, right? Oh, I've been training my entire life at throwing my ball against the wall and then having it bounce back, and then I slap it one more time. Like, you're gonna get the badminton club at your throat, but you're gonna get so many more views. Just get rid of that. Bring in shit like airsoft, or maybe even like sandwich in like how you structure the events too, right?
Yeah,
like popular sport. Fucking not popular sport, another popular, like, so people will just watch all the way through rather than just like, oh, I'm gonna tune in for 1 hour then leave.
Yeah
Like, and every year the Olympics is getting less and less views, and like, and I'm glad they finally see that.
I think there's actually, I just thought about a giant conspiracy theory actually, because like if the Olympics pushes these other games up higher, that takes away from all the physical sports. So like the viewership's already crazy, right? It's easier to view an esports thing, but also like people, like I've been to the Worlds for League last year. Being there physically is so cool, like so much cooler than people could ever realize. And again, I'm a type of person that doesn't necessarily care to be out in like places like that. Like I watch Worlds, I analyze it, whatever. But like when I was there and I met like a few of the people from the community, it was just a dope experience, and the vibe was super cool. Like the experience that they created was really dope. And so now you have this situation where esports can replace like traditional sports on all fronts, and it already has the numbers to back it. The Olympics might not want to incentivize more of a push that way, because the Olympics would, you know, obviously we're shitting on the Olympics, but the Olympics,
they don't want to feed their competition,
would legitimize it even more, where it's like, if you created Gran Turismo in the grand scheme of things isn't like on the competitive level as like even Smash, in my opinion, like from my knowledge of things, or League or Fortnite, right? But then if they did like, well, they're doing Fortnite, but it's like, they're probably like, oh, we gotta, this is like a balance, a lost balance kind of thing. We're losing in the long run, but we're also gaining in the long run. Don't really know. I guess we'll experiment here. But like, I kind of think about it like the other route too. I was just realizing is like, the future of military is digital, right? Where it's like you have like these various tactics. And I think about the way League coaches like their teams and how tactical they are, how like a lot of it's based off of economy. It would be kind of crazy because if you had like the US team, right? Let's say CS:GO, right? Because CS:GO is probably the thing that should be there. It's like the least bloated, most straightforward thing. You just put robot skins on there, and then boom, you have like a tactical thing. And then if you did that, like the US CS:GO team versus the Russian CS:GO team, now you have a situation where like the US would put these governments would put funding into esports just to like, it would work both ways because it would benefit them and benefit, the other way around. And so I'm like, damn, maybe that's why the Olympics is doing this.
If I had billions of dollars to just blow,
yeah,
I think that's what I would do. I would create an Olympic event for esports. I would just create a different one. Like, fuck the Olympics. I'd just create my own.
Yeah.
I'd create my own, and then just to throw salt in the water down the road, I'd even start introducing physical sports in there.
No, I mean,
just to be super salty. Like, you know what? Fuck the Olympics. Like, I'm bringing all the esports here, and then guess what? Years down the road, maybe in between League and Rocket League, we're gonna have a football, like a national, like soccer tournament, right? Like,
we already are doing that with this content creators, like chess boxing. Chess to me is basically like virtual whatever, right? Like it's a board game, right? And then they just throw in boxing in between. I'm like, that's kind of sick. But like,
that's what they need to do.
Agree 100%. And the thing is, for me, the way I see it too is like, I have so much because I'm a player. A person who plays games, and I have an easy time at being decent or above average at a lot of different games. And the thing is, in order to be really good at like one of the games, like at the top level, you're only focused on that, right? And that's incredible already. I can understand how your brain works. Really, really admirable at that level for sure. Something to be respectable for sure. And it translates. It also translates. But then there's also some players who can play all the games at that level. And like you create an Olympic situation. Like imagine if like Usain Bolt or like Michael Phelps, not just swimming, but like snowboarding, running, and like all of them. And then there are people like that can't exist, and now you get like you put on a pedestal like a certain kind of brain that exists, and I think it's worth incentivizing because it's like that kind of ability to process information the way they do that people can't does translate to a lot of other professions, which again is why like companies are hiring based off of these things. They just take away like, if it's not like a CS:GO with guns, but they do have like the reaction stuff, and it's like it's more so like they put on a prompt and then you react to a stimulus, and based off that stimulus, how you react to the stimulus says about how you respond to certain situations or
decision making,
various things.
did he defuse the bomb or did he go for picks?
Right, exactly. And so all of that is something that should be highlighted. But I think big leisure. Oh, that's what it is. Big leisure, or big stadium. Like the people who have to fill up stadiums are afraid of esports, so they're lobbying the Olympic like board and heads saying, yo, you can't have esports here, because then if esports is here, then no one's gonna see me doing what's the sweeping one,
it's not skeleton, curling. It's not
curling. Yeah, curling.
Was it curling?
Yeah, because they throw the thing and then they sweep in front of it.
That's like so stupid. Nobody even watches that right now, bro. Like, get out of here.
On TikTok, it's kind of, because the thing is what you said, right? Like, no one watches an hour of that. Like each match
snippets.
is like snippets of it are kind of funny, are kind of funny and kind of cool. Like in snippet form, I could respect. Like, wait, hold on, I couldn't do that, but like I'm also saying there, like, but why? You know what I mean? Like what translatable? Like, you know what I mean? Like
the nationalism that people have for the Olympic scene is just gone. Like I'm sure there's some people carrying it on, but dude, it's not fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like if I had a son or daughter and they're like, hey dad, I want to join the Olympics one day, I'm gonna be like, I'm like put my hand on him and be like, do something better with your life.
No.
Like seriously, like literally do anything better.
It depends for what. I feel like there's still like there's core things. Like, I think like, till the dawn of time or the end of time, like running. I think that'll always be something people can like universally
the base
respect.
sports.
Yeah.
Yeah. The base physical activities. Yeah, those are dope.
Yeah.
But there's so many like subcategories to them, and I'm like, oh, God.
I'm fine with them existing, but then I'm also like, you understand that if you allow, I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot. If you allow like cornhole, right, cornhole throwing, right, into the Olympics, but
that shouldn't be an Olympic sport.
But not like I think Tetris is way more insane. Like the people who are crazy at Tetris, I'm gonna go out there. Like I think that 99.99% could never be on that level. Like even if they tried. That's kind of how I see it.
You know what's funny?
What?
We need so have you ever seen you watch the Olympics? Never mind. You know, but like the crowds for the Olympics, they're not even hyped up for most of the things they watch. Right?
Yeah,
like every now and then you'll hear very mundane clapping, like maybe 3 people are like, ooh.
They manipulate it because especially I think especially now they block off the less interesting things to be within the same environment as the interesting things, so they like pocket. So then you have these large crowds that normally wouldn't.
But nobody gives a fuck about like curling. Like when curling comes up, nobody's clapping. And that's the thing. You need hype people in there. Like when you watch esports, dude, those stadiums go wild.
Yeah.
And football stadiums, like you go to Spain or something, and you see the crowds going wild. Like people care about those sports. Nobody gives a fuck about badminton, bro. Like competitive gold medalist badminton. Like I watched a show and this lady was like, "Yep, I'm a gold medalist for skeleton," and I'm like, dope. It has a cool name, but it's actually a whack sport. Like, why? How did anybody come up with this?
I don't know about skeleton.
Cares?
I don't. But badminton, I will give pushback on that one. That one is kind of because internationally, that one is really like it's highly populated. It's crazy. And then also,
keep one. League or badminton? Which one would you have in your like Neo Olympics?
League. But the thing is, the reason why I respect badminton is, so this is how I see it. I see it as the people who get gold medals, they shouldn't be like, they get gold medal, right? But you shouldn't have somebody who just joins the sport and then is already like, unless they're an anomaly, they should not be able to be in the same playing field as them. And I see that with league, right? Like league, there's so much learning curve. There's so much like knowledge they have to put into that, like every other sport, right? When it comes to like the NBA and whatever, you could be a top tier physical specimen, but if you don't know game knowledge, you're awful, right? And that's why a lot of the good sports last, right? Because there's that game knowledge that's not just physical. Now you have to have like a team sport aspect there, right? Badminton, you lose that. But the thing is, with badminton, I have experience. I played in an international settings 3 different times in different countries where it was like a general population, right? I played in the US, general population, not that great. I played in what was it? Was it South American? I forget where. And base average, way better. Way better, right? And then I played in Bangladesh. And I was like, no way these guys are going to be that good. I'm going to flex. Literally 8-year-old was better than me. But the thing was that 8-year-old, like, really good. There was a dude who frequented those courts, and he was an Olympic team player. And he soloed. Like, he could beat, like, everybody on his own. Like, he was playing across 2 things against 4 people. Like, no, not 4, like 2 people on each court, and he was playing on both. That's how good he was. And I was like, and those other people were really good. And I'm like, that's how you know if like something is like next level. And the thing is, then it's also like, sure, there's people that could be next level at something like curling, but then on the other part is there's like a universal respect, right? Like you could see, like, I think you could universally, I could take 10 people, go show them that dude who's running across 2 courts, beating very competent players on his own. And they'll be like, that's impressive. You know what I mean? But
all right, fine. I will give the bad in the respect. Maybe that was a bad one to go after. Let's go back after curling then.
yeah, no, but like, but I wasn't saying that for you specifically. I was saying that as more as a standard, because there's a lot of things that could be taken out of the Olympics based off of what I just said, right? And like that's where it's like we need to continue doing that for everything. You know what I mean? Like that's what the Olympics should be. It should be like, we should not that necessarily aspire, but more so like, this guy is doing something that is humanly possible and I respect. And even if I don't participate in it, it's impressive, right? That's how I see the Olympics. That's how the Olympics started. It's like, and we're moving away from that. We're moving away from that for sure. And it's kind of sad.
We need better Olympic sports, or we just need to get rid of the Olympics in general. I think we need something brand new.
And so with that, we are crossing the Olympic time. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what
the Olympic timeline of 2 hours and a half.
Yeah, and so
look at that.
You know, hey guys, we proposed, Sai and I could start the I was gonna say the cyanide games, but like the our
the
own
cyanide games,
our own Olympics. One, we need the sports, like a name for the commission, but more than that, would you guys watch that if we did that? You know, chess, boxing.
Actually, here's another question too. How many people here genuinely like the Olympics?
That's a fair one. I respect people who I respect that people don't necessarily watch it, especially younger people. I'm like, damn, like there's no reason for you to watch this. But like people my age, it's crazy that like because back in my day when the Olympics were on during that year, it was like everybody heard about it, at least, right? Like nowadays it's like the Olympics are happening. Like even though it happens every 4 years, it's like, oh, that was this year, right? Like,
yeah,
it's so sad.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
I can't wait. I hope by the time I die, I hope the Olympics is a foreign concept by that point. It would be a good day if I ever have grandkids and they just ask, "What was the Olympics? What was that?"
Yeah, that'd be.
Did that actually exist? I think that'd be amazing. That's where I could like die with a smile on my face. I'll just be rocking in a chair. And I'm just smiling. I'm like, don't worry, son. You'll never have to know what that is.
I would be happier on the flip side if like they were prideful of it, but that would mean that the Olympics was actually like good and like meaningful and like respectable.
I would love that too, but I would want something else, like the Neo Olympics or a brand new organization. I think the Olympics is they're the committee. They need to be changed across the board.
Oh yeah, 1000%.
I think they're just making bad decision after bad decision.
We should figure out how to join the IIAC, I believe is the international whatever, or I don't know what commission does the Olympics, but we should figure out how to join
the IIAC.
And if we figure out that we are qualified or capable, would you guys nominate us with the 50-50 kingdom? The kingdom of the 50-50.
I don't even know if I'd want to like associate with them, to be honest.
But we could take it over. We have Conquers Hockey. We have the charisma. I mean, you almost took down Lace.
If we take it over, I would literally fire everybody there.
Like Elon Musk style, like Twitter?
1,000,000%. I do not think Elon Musk did anything wrong when he fired all those people, to be honest. I don't know if that's going to be a hot take, but I 1,000,000% agree. He joined in. He said, you guys are getting fucking fired. And I was like, you know what? I'm down for that. Clean the house. It's his company now.
Since we're ending on that, I now to put my opinion there. I think that there was a proper reason for him to do what he did. And like a lot of situations, the reasoning could be sound, but the execution can not be. And
I'm down for the execution. And apparently he was sending goofy ass emails their way, like gift cards, like, "Hey, you're fired."
And one of those ones
go for it.
Was somebody who actually like had like reason to be there, and he was just a disabled like genius person, and he had to fight him like verbally on Twitter. And so that's what I mean. It's like his executions of it was poorly. There's probably a lot of people that were bloated across all the tech spaces. It makes, that was another thing I wanted to bring up. There's something really smart that Elon did, and I'm surprised he actually had the nuance to do this. And it's like, I need to know how he got onto this. It has to do with real estate, which is, for those of you guys don't know, I have a lot of real estate knowledge, but he did some crazy thing that just like bullied like landlords, and I'm like, damn, that's smart. Like, because at that level, he can do like basically hedge funding, like default on certain situations, and then like hope for a better future. And then like, because he's like very confident he's right, he just doesn't pay rent. But then because then it gets refinanced because it's cheaper than taking the world's richest man and one of the like Twitter to court. So like he just brain gamed them.
He could just bully people into submission. He has conquerors hockey.
And what he did was honestly smart, because what he's essentially brought down was they were charging 30% premium above market. And it was just something that was built into their contracts as Twitter, and they just never addressed it in terms of cost cutting thing. But in line of like, hey, like if 30% of your workforce doesn't know what they're doing, fire them. That's fine. But then also like, you can't also just not like look at who you're firing to and like blank fire people. And then also
I don't know, he has so many employees, I just blank fire. Like, but the Houston office, get rid of them, bro. Get rid of them, boys. But get the bulldozer.
That was another thing where last thing, because I gotta go, is what's it called, apparently Twitter didn't have like he either fired or they didn't have an HR department. So what that means, that's what it was. They didn't have an HR department, which is why he was doing everything crazy. And so what that meant, and this is a tip for those of you guys, I'm shooting you guys a good thing. Twitter and a lot of these companies dissolved like a lot of people, and Twitter specifically didn't have an HR department. So if you were to put it on your resume that you worked at Twitter, and let's say your future employer wanted to verify that, who are they going to call? If there's no records of their HR, there's no person managing them, they can't verify that. And there's actually people who are doing that because they did that during the Great Recession in 08 when certain companies dissolved. They were like, oh, this company doesn't exist anymore, so I could put that on my resume, and it's like a $1 billion thing. And they were like, oh yeah, I was a regional manager. Who's verifying it? And you could do that with Twitter now.
I'm gonna do that now.
Yeah.
Hey, I worked at Twitter, guys.
Yeah, you could say no one can de-verify it. All you have to do is sound competent. And let me tell you something. A lot of people, it's easy to sound competent, and a lot of people aren't competent. It's what it is. It's what it is. So with that, guys, thank you for listening.
It turned into an Elon Musk praise session.
If you guys just
that was the takeaway
for all of you regional managers of Twitter's various departments, shout outs to you guys for listening in. Whether you're a regional manager, a global manager, maybe you're even like the CEO.
CEO.
Yeah. Whatever you. I know that's on all the resumes now. If not, what are you doing? Secondly, thank you guys for listening to 50/50 Podcast. Thank you for supporting on Patreon. And yeah,
we'll catch you guys later. Peace out. Have a great rest of your day.